I did that thing again where I start the stream without having the fucking game up, so bear with me. Oh, shit. Here, I'll launch it even though I can't log in yet. Just so everybody has something to look at. How about some menu music? I can't access the settings from this. Oh well.
Kill whoever they have aggro on. It was so fucking bad, man. Like, I hated this boss.
But if you accidentally pull the little robots over someone else's robot,
Right, left. You can barely fuck.
and at number 5,
No, they didn't nerf warriors. Oh, this is for the fucking beta. Who gives a shit? Who
we have
cares?
Valistraz the Corrupt. This is the second
Oh,
boss in the
jeez.
Blackwing layer,
Yeah, who
one of the
cares?
very first raids added to the game, and was considered quite difficult for its time. Although
Veil
in
was really
Classic
hard.
WoW, it's more of a speed bump than it was the guild breaker that it was in the original Vanilla WoW.
Yeah.
You see, this boss was kind of unique in the fact that it was required to progress throughout the rest.
In classic WoW, this boss was not a road bump or a speed bump. This boss was not even a bump. This boss was like a... It's like, imagine like you're driving around and you drive over a water bottle. That's what it was like. That's how much of a threat he was in classic WoW. Yeah, you just drive over a water bottle.
Of the raid, and required a lot of personal responsibility with its mechanics. The biggest thing of this fight was its shortened rage time.
Mechanic.
Zug zug.
Let's be clear here, Red. Mechanic. It had one mechanic.
Which was definitely helped along with the buff you would
Burning
cast on people
adrenaline.
called Burning Adrenaline.
Yep.
This would essentially give the player 1 minute to live and double their damage, but it had the
That's
downside where it would kill you once the duration ended, and kind of blow
Exactly.
up and damage everyone else next to you. So once you
The
were
other
chosen
mechanic
with
is
Burning
getting world
Adrenaline,
buffs.
you'd want to do as much damage as possible without pulling threat from the tanks, and then just run out of the raid so that you didn't blow anyone else up when it was your turn to die. The
Yep.
problem with this fight was the personal accountability of a 40-man raid team requiring people to actually perform a specific coordinated task like this, which was not really the norm in the early days of raiding. So it
You have to understand, you know how people were really stupid back in or like whenever I play classic WoW, people are just really stupid that I interact with as a general rule. Well, in retail, they're generally smarter, but in vanilla WoW, they are the same dumb people that are in classic, but with 15 less years of knowledge and understanding of the game. So imagine that they're as dumb as the people in classic times 2. And then on top of that, multiplied by a bad computer. Put into an exponential equation with bad internet. And then multiplied with like a fucking X variable with whichever parent or family member was currently interrupting them while they were raiding. So this boss was really hard in vanilla for every single reason besides the boss. Like that's what it was. Like this boss was not hard because of the boss. Do you really think retail raiders are smarter? Yeah, absolutely. Like absolutely, they're way better. Like retail players on average are way better than classic players. It's not even
What the
in
hell's
same
the hold
universe.
up? Oh, my server crashed.
Like they are twice as good, probably 3 times as good.
caused quite a bit of wipes and a lot of frustration in all kinds of guilds. Especially since Burning Adrenaline could also be cast on the tanks. So there was a chance you could get unlucky and just have all of your tanks get killed.
Yep.
The fight was so incredibly difficult that it kind of set the precedent for the rest of the game. where Blizzard no longer made the early bosses difficult at all, so that people could actually progress into the raid and not get frustrated encountering such a hard wall so early. And for a long time,
I was
Baalish
okay
Trials
with
is
some of
considered
that.
one of the hardest raid bosses of all time. Although he doesn't really measure up to a lot of the actual harder raid bosses,
No.
especially with how simple his mechanics are compared to anything else we have in modern raiding. But during his time period and how inexperienced the average raider was,
Yeah,
he was a
exactly.
beast.
That's what it really was, right? He was really hard for his time. But like nowadays, obviously, like the raid is just super easy. Like it's just super fucking easy. And there was also like the issue that like back in vanilla WoW, one of the reasons why people didn't kill him for so long is that you had to like he was only in the game, or he was only in the raid for
I'm
like
just
2
gonna
hours
teleport.
or something, and then he would despawn. So if you didn't kill him really quickly, you were just fucked. So it was like 3 or 4 different things coming together to really make it annoying. So yeah, this boss was it was hard for its time.
I don't have
compared to
VSync on,
nowadays
apparently.
standards, it wasn't even close.
And at number 4, we have Hodir from Old War.
Hodir.
Specifically
Even though it
the
says
hard
I do.
mode version of Hodir.
Okay,
Old War was the golden age of hard modes.
it was.
There
It
are
was
more
great.
hard
Okay,
modes
now
in
it's
Old
on.
War than any other raid in the
That's
game.
so weird.
And
Probably
it was
combined.
kind of
You know what,
a
let me,
testing grounds for the heroic mode that
It's something to do with
eventually
being
came
at full screen and alt
Before Old
tab.
War,
It was not as
and
good as the
widescreen,
downgrade
and
for the
vanilla
Old
just
Deer
fucks it
mode.
all up.
The Old Deer hard mode was way fucking Old War hard mode was way fucking better in all ways. It was more interesting, it was more dynamic, it made more sense inside of the fight. It was so much more fun to activate. Like I am such a big fan of the Old War hard modes. And I was really glad whenever I saw they added like a couple of them back into the game. In like, I know they did
I'm about to
one
level
in
up.
the Terrace at the end of spring.
Pretty sure.
But like nowadays, they don't even try and do that shit anymore. It was so stupid. I don't get it.
didn't really have multiple levels of difficulties of raids.
Yeah.
And of all of the hard modes in Old War, 2 of them
Oh,
are
no,
pretty
I gotta
famous
go out
for
here
it.
now. I remember.
One of them, of course, is the final boss, Yogg Saron, and
And
his
then
Zero
Memoron
Lights hard
Firefighter.
I
mode,
gotta go.
where you had to kill
I gotta
an
go
enemy
for a
that keeps
swim.
helping you, and was definitely one of the hardest fights in the game's history.
Did Yogg Saron, Yogg Zero, was in my opinion harder than Mythic Lich King, or sorry, Heroic Lich King 25 man. Like for its time, I think Yogg Zero was harder because you needed to have a stronger, more defined comp for it at the beginning because of the way that he like the insanity mechanic worked, and then on top of that, you had to like you didn't have as much time. Like there was no buff for Yogg. There was no buff at all. And so the first guild that killed Heroic Lich King on 25,
I'm gonna come back and kill
killed
that
him
guy
with
at
a
level
5%
50.
buff. It was Paragon that killed him with 5% buff. And then no.
There's gotta be a quest for him, though.
10% buff.
I would think.
But Lich King, or sorry, what's it called? Yogg had no buff, and you just had to go in there and deal with it. It was rough.
There was also Memoron Firefighter, where you just pushed the red button and basically activated the heroic
Yeah, this
version
was
of the
really
same
cool,
fight,
too.
which just had a lot more fire than normal, in addition to everything else doing more damage.
A lot more
But
damage.
actually, Hodir was the hardest non-end boss of that raid. It's just
'Cause
not
the
talked
damage
about as
check?
much because it was fixed after it was known as a problem.
Yeah.
You see, the hard mode for Hodir was pretty simple. All I had to do was
Kill
kill
him
the boss
fast.
in less than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That was it. It was just a huge Zerg trying to kill the boss as fast as possible before it could reach phase 2.
Yep.
Although the problem with this hard mode was the DPS requirement was so difficult to accomplish that it was thought to be nearly impossible.
Well, the reason why it was so hard, so like there were a couple of mechanics that were like, I can't really explain everything, right? I guess I'll explain a few things, right? So you had storm clouds that would go on a random player, and then that random player would have to move around and apply the storm cloud buff to other players, which would give them more critical strike damage. And those beams of light would make you cast like 3 times as fast. And then there was also like these fires that you guys can see on the left there. And if you stand next to the fire, you could stand still and cast and not have to worry about getting stacks of fighting cold, which is like a
Can you
stat
interrupt
debuff
me?
that would go up more and more and more the longer you
Good.
stood still. So I think the fight was tuned around expecting everybody to have all 3 of those buffs, which was completely unrealistic. That's like, there's no way that would ever happen. It was really, really, really fucking hard. Even after the nerf, it was hard.
At least with the gear that was provided in the raid. So what some
Yeah.
players would do in order to actually defeat this boss was they would kite some of the ads from Freya's room to Hodir. That way, the mages in the raid could spell steal the pollinate buff, which would increase their damage by 25% for 30 seconds.
I don't remember this.
Although eventually Blizzard realized the fight was probably impossible.
That's smart.
So they increased the amount of time you had for the hard mode by 50% to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And then changed the Forest Swarmer ads to no longer have the pollinate buff spell stealable. So
I
the
don't
fight
remember
would
that at
actually
all.
be
Oh, I
doable,
should have
but
probably
still
sold some
difficult.
shit, huh?
Holy
so
shit.
there's
And I
no
was that
longer
booty
cheese with
bag I
the
could have
Forest
used the
Swarmers.
bank.
Holy
Funny thing
shit.
is, Blizzard actually commented on the pollinate buff and said if they didn't want people to be able to spell steal it, they wouldn't have added it to the room that also had a boss inside of it.
Yeah.
It's just they were kind of expecting people to use it on Freya and not drag the ads to the other keepers' rooms and use them there. So while it may have been a difficult fight because it was hard to zerg down boss in 2 minutes, there are so many bosses that are difficult because they were overtuned that it's almost impossible to really separate their tuning from how difficult the boss was. Because there are no bosses that have full curses that didn't have bugs or, you know, some overtuning to them.
Yeah, the world first raiders are the those are the unpaid beta testers for Blizzard, and so basically these people play the game 24 hours a day in order to beta test the content for Blizzard that they didn't have time to do themselves. So that's the way that it works.
So with keeping those constraints in mind, Hodir is technically the hardest non-end boss for Ulvar.
Yeah.
And I only put 1 fight per raid in these kinds of videos. But Mimron Firefighter would definitely also make this list if I didn't have that little internal rule to just add some variety to the videos. Because rarely is it a problem, except in a case like this where everyone would probably expect to see Mimron
Yeah, I would have.
Firefighter
I thought we were gonna see that too.
And at number 3, we have the Spine of Deathwing.
This is only number 3? What the fuck? Oh my god. What the fuck is number 2 and 1?
A boss which had its world first achieved
Oh
after
my
214 attempts.
Maybe
And then the
Maroon?
final
Yeah,
boss of the
maybe
raid was
Maroon.
killed in less than 100. The Spine of Deathwing is kind of the poster
This
child
was
of a modern
fucking
raid
insane.
that had a boss in the raid which was more difficult than the final boss itself.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the bosses on this list, they weren't actually more difficult than the final boss of their raid. Yogg Zero's
I thought, dude, so like there was a bug where this Chinese guild was able to kill Madness of Deathwing before they were supposed to. And I remember seeing the video of it. And I actually thought the boss fight for Madness of Deathwing was so easy, I genuinely thought that it was bugged. I was like, there's no way that's the way it works. There's no way, it's too easy. Like, yeah, it's way too easy. There's no way they're gonna just let it be like that. And, you know, what a shit fight.
definitely more difficult than Hodir. Garrosh was more difficult than Siegecrafter Blackfuse,
Yeah, he was.
etc., etc. But Madness of Deathwing,
Was
the
a joke.
actual final boss of Dragon Soul, was kind of a joke in comparison to
Exactly.
the Spine of Deathwing.
He sure
So
was.
what was so difficult about this
Exactly.
fight? 2 things really. This fight required an incredible amount of burst damage. Like so much that it was almost unheard of for a raid fight.
This was the first fight that we really had. There was more class stacking on this fight than any other fight in the history of the game. So you had basically rogues that had the legendary daggers and mages that had Dragon Wrath. And it was like arcane mages and whatever spec of rogue that it was. And those 2 classes were the hardest damage Nefarian druid tank. No, there were actually more rogues and mages combined than there were druids on the Paragon kill for Nefarian. It was way more. Like, you needed almost a full raid of this comp because of how powerful and how high the damage check was. They basically cut the damage check in half, and it was still hard.
Burst damage is something that's only really useful in PvP, because generally, 99% of raid fights reward long-term damage, or AoE,
Yeah,
not single target burst, which
Exactly.
was the most important thing on Spine of Deathwing, and
Was
hasn't
Arcane
really
Mage's
been the
Dragon
case
Wrath?
ever
Yeah.
since the Spine of Deathwing. As the way to defeat the fight was you had to pop 3 of its plates off. Once
Yep.
the 3rd plate was popped off, the
this
fight
was a
over
fun
for
fight.
you
I really liked it.
And the way to pop off one of the plates was to DPS one of the tendons underneath the plate, which
Yep.
could only be revealed after you blew up one of the big elementals in the fight. And
Yep.
the tendon was only available to DPS for about 20 seconds at a
I
time.
think it was 18
So
seconds. I
whichever
believe.
classes could deal the most amount of damage in
You would
about
just have to
20
deep
seconds
dick
with
the tendon.
very little setup.
Like,
were the
everybody
most
pops
prized.
CDs.
Which is why most of the raid teams who got the world first brought nothing but rogues and mages as their DPS.
Yep.
Since those 2 classes had some of the best burst damage in the game at the time.
I'll show you guys.
helped along by the fact that those two.
Yeah, they were the ones that had the legendaries. Let me show you guys. World first Spine of Deathwing. Take a look at this. They had full mages and full rogues, pretty much as all of their damage, minus like a few other people just to buff their damage. That was it. Neff had like 17 druids. Maybe, did it have 17 druids? I don't know about that. Was it 17 druids? Ooh, that's a lot of druids. Maybe you're right. Yeah, maybe you are right. I don't know. Like, I remember this had like probably, in my mind, it was like the hardest and like most intense class stacking. But regardless, like both of these were fucking insane. Like, I remember whenever we did this in my guild, we had people that were like going and doing alt raids to get Dragon Wrath on their alts just because we wanted to be able to kill this boss.
Classes also had the availability of legendary weapons.
Yeah, exactly.
That increased their damage even further. But it wasn't just the burst damage that was the problem. The healing on the fight was also incredibly
fucking
difficult.
ridiculous.
Probably one of the hardest fights to heal in the game's history as well.
Yep.
You see, there was a mechanic on the fight called Searing Plasma, which was a permanent debuff that would deal damage to the player was on.
Yeah,
and
you
the
had to
way
heal
to
it all
remove
the
the
way
debuff
through.
was to heal the target for a significant amount of healing. Because the debuff would also absorb all the healing they took, and it wouldn't go away until it absorbed a certain threshold.
I'm just gonna take this one. I think it'd be better
It was usually around
for
30%
leveling.
of the player's health, give or take. So it was a pretty significant chunk of healing that you could put on someone just to remove a debuff. And the debuffs would periodically go out all the time. And since it never went away, if you slacked on your healing even for a little bit, where you just had to pump heals into the tanks.
Like, you basically had to overheal this, and then on top of that, I believe, I don't remember like how these ads worked. I think that some of the ads, like if they, oh yeah, if you kill the ads, there was a soft enrage in the fight, because if you killed the ads, they would just like, the globule would just spawn underneath them, and it would go to one of those red areas, and then it would respawn. It was,
like
dude,
that.
this fight was
Then
fucking
you would eventually
ridiculous.
get left behind in the healing, and white
Wait,
was
it goes
usually
up?
not able to heal
Insane,
anyone up after they took damage.
Yep.
The fight itself also had a ton of ads to micromanage, as you needed one of your tanks to constantly kite a long swarm of bloods.
Oh,
So
it
the
goes
best
up
way to
until
deal
it's
with this
done.
healing
Okay.
mechanic was to just bring a Resto Shaman, because if they pop Spirit Link Totem, it could instantly get rid of the debuffs from everyone.
I don't remember us doing this,
As
actually.
what Spirit Link Totem did was it would constantly heal and damage everyone in a radius for 10 seconds until it would equalize everyone.
That's really good.
Since the process of trying to equalize
This is
the
pretty
entire
good,
rate
actually.
would involve massive amounts of
I don't know, it sounded kind
damage
of
to the players,
not so great when I read it, but
provided
it's pretty
desperately
fucking
in
good.
order to meet the absorbs threreshold.
Well,
Now I'm gonna get the mana
too,
refund.
because you had like, there was such little space that you really had in the fight that as a Resto Shaman, your healing rain would be healing pretty much the entire raid all the time. Like, Resto Shamans in like Cataclysm and Mists of Pandaria were one of the most fun classes to play like ever. I remember playing Resto back in Mists of Pandaria, and I genuinely had fun doing it. Like, one of the things that I really liked about it back then is you had active mana regeneration as like a shaman. It was fucking awesome. Like, I feel like I don't think any of the healers have that now besides monks, right? Like, it was disappointing. Like, I really think that like healing in Mists of Pandaria was fucking amazing. It was actually fucking amazing.
And kind of trivialized this incredibly difficult healing mechanic. And because Spirit Link Totem was so good for dealing with this mechanic, all of the top raids that down Spine of Deathwing basically only had 3 classes brought along.
Yeah.
Rogues, mages, and shamans. Rogues and mages to do damage on the tendons, and shamans to rotate their Spirit Link totems.
Yep.
It's probably some of the hardest class stacking that players have seen in a modern raid. And it was
So you would be tanking so many of these bloods at the end of it. We had to make sure that our warrior tanks repaired every single fight. Like, every single time that we would do an attempt, they had to full repair because the bloods would break their gear. I'll be right back.
so bad that Blizzard made all kinds of accommodations to make sure something like Spine of Deathwing wouldn't happen again.
Yeah, it was
Occasionally,
insane.
there will be fights where people class stack like crazy anyway, and it happened all the time in the early days, but Dragon Soul was supposed to be one of the modern raids after the revamp of the old world, so it
the last raid to like really have like super bad class stacking, besides maybe Unat, was Tomb of Sargeras. Tumor Sargeras was fucking insane. Did you wash your hands? Why would I wash my hands? I got a clean dick.
kind of stood out at the time. And at number 2, we have Fallen Avatar from
Fallen
the Tomb
Avatar.
of Sargeras. This was the second
yeah.
to final boss in its raid, kind of like his final death, and was so difficult it easily tops a lot of final bosses in terms of difficulty, as it took 453 attempts before.
I think Avatar is harder than like. I didn't really do it like whenever it was like super hard, so I can't really say. But it seemed like Avatar, like watching people do Avatar and the amount of responsibilities that you had, it feels like that boss was probably harder than like almost any other boss in the entire game. It was fucking insane.
Before the world first was achieved, which actually places it pretty high.
Yeah,
on the
actually,
list of
that's
bosses.
a really good way of saying it. You can't even kill this boss now. That's how fucking hard it is. Like, even now, with, like, everything that you have, and, like, 2 expansions later almost, you still can't kill this boss on Mythic. Like, it's fucking ridiculous.
That took the most amount of attempts to get a world first. Now,
I'm assuming this is where the holy water is.
Was just played old over
The
to
Jaden was harder.
in the
So-
fact that it had 4
Yeah.
separate soak mechanics.
4
a soak
separate
mechanic
soak
is something
mechanics.
where a void zone will pop up in some way, shape, or form,
Yep.
in which you want players to actually move into them so they can take the damage so it doesn't wipe the raid. Generally, you want to avoid ground clutter, but Tomb of Sargeras kind of went all in with soak mechanics and had a little bit too many of
It
them.
was way too many.
Where
It was
Blizzard
insane.
heavily dialed back the amount of soak mechanics afterwards because they were not very well liked in the Tomb of Sargeras. Although one of the soak mechanics was a lot more difficult than all the others, and that specifically was the Dark Mark mechanic. This would
So, like, even before you even got to that part of the face, like, so you had, like, multiple beams going
I
to
just
Avatar,
cast 2
and
spells.
if one beam hit Avatar, like, once, all right, probably 2 or
I just cast 2 spells that died. I was expecting something a little bit more, I suppose.
3 times, it was pretty much a fucking wipe. So
Um,
you had to deal with, on Mythic, you had to deal with the green beams, and then Mythic had purple beams as well. And each of the beams gave a stack, and then you had to rotate stacks between all of the members in your raid, while at the same time making sure that you're moving out for those daggers that he spawned. Because
I guess
if
I'll
the
get rid of
dagger
the
hit
fangs.
somebody else, it would drop a void zone that was there for the entire phase 1. It was fucking insane.
Oh, except
Like,
now I'm
the
gonna have to
boss
get
was
rid of
really,
something else,
really,
too.
really hard.
It only happened during phase 2 when you guys fell below the room.
Yeah.
You would target 3 random players. In which case
Um,
you would blow up and deal damage to that player, and then knock him into the air based on how much damage
Yep.
you did. You could also split this damage with as many players as possible that were also inside of it.
I'll get rid of the meat.
And it would
Wait, can I cook that
absolutely
meat?
one-shot someone if they tried to solo
I
soak
probably
it.
can, but I
Yeah,
don't
you
have the
have to
recipe,
really
so I'm just gonna get rid of it.
Or like with
was
the-
to
I
have
think in
about
a
2 or 3
vulnerability.
other people stand with whoever had the Dark Mark. That way they could absorb and split the damage between each other and only get knocked back a little bit.
Wonderful.
The final phase
Alright.
also happened on a platform with a lot of lava that you could be knocked into, which dealt a substantial amount of damage. In addition to the fact that you had to constantly dodge
I'm just gonna
shadow
hurt back
tornadoes
there.
and the boss himself doing a constant tick of AoE damage, which was kind of very hard to heal in the early
Oh, dude, it was so bad because so he gets
Combustion's
Seer,
so good.
Right? This is his buff called Seer, and on
It's
top
still
of
on me
Seer,
too. Like I can use
if
it
he
right
was in
now.
lava at all, he
I
would
like
gain
that it
extra
doesn't
stacks that would
expire
gain
until it's
from
used.
Seer.
I love that.
So it was just like, and you couldn't stop him from being in the lava all the time.
And it's almost like you're playing what's like a it's almost like you're playing blackjack, you know, and you're trying to get closer and closer to 21, and you have like low cards and you keep getting more and more low cards, but like any moment you're gonna get a high card. It's kind of like that because like it's increasing your crit chance, and you want to like probably prime it up with Scorch, right? So you can get like a higher crit chance. So you use your Pyroblast and your Fireballs. But at the same time, like, what if you, blow all 3 crits with Scorch? You gotta be careful. But you can't really. You'll never know. But I'll take any crit right now. I'll take any crit over no crit.
So
I
you
don't
had
care.
to just, like,
It could be a
focus
crit from my
This was
wand. I don't care.
This fight was fucking insane. Like, I really think this probably, like, I don't know what number 1 is going to be. If number 1's Muru, I think this one's way harder than Muru.
Oh,
Stages of progression.
another
Since the
alliance
boss would
spot.
directly destroy part of the
I better turn
platform,
this in before
then
I
you
get
would
killed.
slowly walk to the tank through the lava. But the boss would also gain a stacking buff for
I need
each
to sell some
second it
shit.
stood in the lava, which would increase the AoE pulse damage. he
Is
dealt
somebody
with.
gonna do something
In
about
fact, you
that?
could literally not pull him onto the
There it
platform
is.
before he got 2 or 3
Anybody?
stacks. The fight would become
Hey.
unhealable before the platform.
Oh, you're level
was
41. You can't do
Yep.
fucking
and since
anything.
it was such a difficult healing check, in addition to a DPS check, if one of your few healers was chosen with the Dark Mark, then it was an instant wipe, since they did not have the healing to make up for one of the healers temporarily being unavailable for even a
Yep.
couple of seconds. So eventually, the fight got a whole bunch of changes. They made it so the Fell Infusion mechanic would gain less stacks more frequently while he was in the lava.
Yeah, they nerfed the
They also
shit out of
changed
this
Dark
fight.
Mark
I like how we got all these
healers,
level 40
and to deal significant
horde
had
bots
damage.
just like walking
In addition
around
to just nerfing
while
the
there's a
output of the
level
avatar
60
by
alliance
50%,
spot. I guess it's
which
gone
made the
now.
DPS check more bearable. And even after all
They're
these
just like, oh, I hope it
changes,
doesn't
took
decide to
about
kill me.
100 more attempts before the world first was achieved.
Yeah.
Which should go a long way to say how difficult the original version of the fight was, if the nerfed version is still on par with Madness of Deathwing in terms of attempts.
This boss was, in my opinion, like, is going to have Muru is going to be the last.
I'm gonna have to look this up.
There's no way that Muru is harder than this boss. Like, I can almost guarantee you.
Did I sell everything there is to
the
sell?
day
I'm
that
keeping
Muru
this,
comes
obviously.
out,
It's a
people are
collector's
gonna
item.
one-shot that boss. I really don't think it's going to be harder. Like, you got to understand, like, the way that people
I guess I
played
should use my
PvC back
tailoring.
then was just not efficient. They just weren't good at the game.
Or no, my tailoring's
Straight up,
maxed
they were
out.
not good at the game.
Whatever.
And at number 1, we have Muru from the Sunwell Plateau and the Burning Crusade. This is another one of the second bosses before the final boss,
Yeah.
and also took the number 1 spot in my top 10 hardest raid bosses of all time, including final bosses as well. Now, Muru was difficult.
I can tell you right now, the hardest boss so far with bots is Cthulhu. I literally have to go in and reduce raid boss spell damage to 0. Even if I reduced it to like 1%, it would still wipe my raid. Because the bots don't spread out. They don't know how, they don't care. And basically what I do to compensate for that is I'll increase physical damage dealt by bosses.
Difficult for kind of the same reasons as Valish.
And same thing with the Twin Emperors. I have to get rid of their healing spells just to kill them.
The Corrupt. He had kind of a couple mechanics that were just very difficult to deal with at the time for the players overall.
Because we can't split them up, they're
Well, this
bots.
fight was so hard.
I mean, there's a lot of raid mechanics you can't do with bots, but it's still, in my opinion, like the overall experience is infinitely better.
It was so hard that every single player in the raid was required in a lot of guilds to swap over to leatherworking so they could buy themselves drums and get that little bit of extra damage.
You know, a lot of bosses back then were only hard because everybody was on dial-up.
It was
Like if you ever want to recreate that experience, what you do is you literally you play on a private server in like I don't know, like Bangladesh or something, like the highest ping possible. And that is probably like half as bad as playing on dial-up was back then.
fucking
And even then, I don't even think you can recreate that because internet speeds are so high now that no matter where you play, like you're probably going to still have at least 200 ping.
ridiculous. Like, for its time, Muru was like a massive step up in difficulty versus like any fight that you would come into you would come into contact with.
I really want these.
There's a blue post.
I have
I'll
thick
read the blue
leather,
post
don't I?
After this, okay?
No, I don't.
Will probably be trivialized once Burning Crusade.
I'm probably gonna go to the
servers
auction
around,
house
everyone
and
has
get
had
this.
years to
Yeah.
practice the mechanics on private servers. As what made this fight difficult
Probably what
was
I'm gonna
really
do
trying
here.
to transition into its second phase.
Cindercloth
During
is
the
just so
first
good.
phase,
The only
two
problem is I'd be
mechanics
giving up my
were-
intellect.
One of them was summon a group of ads periodically
Yeah.
throughout the fight, and the other was to call in a group of ads from the back of the room, which would happen on a set timer of about
It was
once
a lot
minute.
of fucking damage.
And the
man.
way
Oh,
to
I
beat the
could-
fight was to kill both of these sets of ads before you transitions the boss into the second phase. which happened immediately after you killed the boss and he spawned Entropus.
Is it better
I feel
though?
like in general, a lot more was hard, but my god, it was so fucking boring. I didn't do
No,
it.
I need
Like,
intellect.
The thing is, it's gonna be rolled. Yeah, I think
That's
people are
not
gonna
better.
roll this boss over, and you've got to remember, like, if you compare
The shoulders
Maru
are definitely
pre-nerf
better though.
to
I should make
Kill
these
Jaden
shoulders.
pre-nerf, or sorry, Fallen Avatar pre-nerf. Like, I think just obviously Fallen Avatar is way harder. Like, they had to nerf the boss multiple times for it even to be killable. So to me, I feel like a lot of these like TBC and vanilla WoW bosses, I don't even think they were hard. Like, I would be really curious to see, put the players of today in front of those bosses now, and I don't even think these guys would make the list in the top 50. Like, that's the facts. Like, I can almost guarantee you if I go and I watch,
Honestly, with most bosses in like vanilla and Burning Crusade, most of like the not end bosses were harder than the end bosses. And I'm pretty sure that's true in just about every raid that I can think of. I'm thinking here. Except for Zolgrub, CG. Or am I thinking of ZF? ZG was the vanilla one. That one, I think the end boss is harder than all the other bosses. Though I did play on a server core once where the bat boss was bugged and it just one-shot my raid, and that was kind of hard. I don't know. No, I guess I'm just gonna make the rest of the stuff and sell it. And I'm assuming I'd get more for shoulders than I would a headband. Oh, I can't even make that anymore. Because I made the shoulders. Oh well. I really don't want to lose all that intellect anyway. And I can't really go to an auction house and buy this stuff because I won't have money for a mount.
What do you need?
It's a sad world.
when I watch a video of one of the top private server guilds doing Maru, the people in the private server guild is going to be doing probably 20% more damage. They're just going to be way better. Like, that's all there is to it. They're just going to be way fucking better.
Once Entropus entered the ring, the ants would stop spawning, and he had to very quickly DPS down the boss before he killed the raid with his pulsing stack.
Okay.
We have Nax in 5
So
minutes.
since his final phase was just a pure burn, where you had to kill him before he killed you, everyone in the raid needed to
I should
focus
turn
all
this
of their
in now.
damage onto the boss. And the
Yep.
healers had a lot to heal, as the boss was constantly dealing raid-wide AoE damage
Nax
that
is
was
gonna
hard
be
to
out in
heal
5
in normal
minutes, boys.
circumstances. Especially since the first iteration of this fight
Is this
also
better?
provided spell push.
An intellect.
So if you had any ads
5
left in the
intellect, 8
previous
spirit,
phase,
no.
you just wouldn't be able to
I need
have
all the
chance to kill
intellect.
the boss or heal the raid.
Yep.
So that was basically the entire fight, just trying to hit the perfect transition where you killed all of the ads at the exact time you killed Maru, which triggered the transition phase.
It was fucking
Sounds
insane.
simple enough, right?
No, it
Well,
was not.
it was actually so
It was
difficult
really
that only
hard.
5 raids managed to kill Maru before it received a major round of nerfs. And even then, raids were only killing him after that with massive class stacking and forcing everyone in the raid group to go leatherworking so they could
Yep.
take drums of battle.
That was the meta right there. Every single person had to go.
Be right back, I'm gonna
leatherworking.
get
I
my
was so close
last
to
bit of coffee.
restarting to leatherworking, but I was like, "There's no way I'm ever going to leave blacksmithing." Like, I've been a blacksmith ever since Vanilla WoW, and I will never leave blacksmithing. It doesn't matter what it is.
Alright, and that's the video. If you want to know more about the hardest bosses
Yeah.
in the game, regardless of their position in that raid, I'd highly recommend watching my
Okay.
video on the top 10 hardest raid bosses of all time, which will be linked at the end of this video.
I will probably
This
watch that
video
at
was
some
edited
point.
by The Flying Buttress, who's an excellent, highly underrated
Yeah, I'll probably
YouTube
watch that
channel.
at some point.
If you enjoy highly edited World of Warcraft
Yeah.
videos, I would definitely recommend you check him out.
Yeah.
Links to him and all my other stuff will be at the end of the video right
Yeah.
now.
That was a good video, man. That was a really good fucking video. I feel like all these are pretty well aggregated. I think Uru probably shouldn't have been on the list.
Home. The universe has been restored to its rightful order, and World of Warcraft can be fun again. It'll be
Okay.
hard to log off rather than hard to log in for the first time in almost a decade. Things are about to change for the better. Vanilla is basically an entirely different game, only similar on the surface to BFA. And one
Yep.
of the key differences is the itemization. With this might come maybe some confusion for some of you guys. You might not know what kind of itemization
Servers
to
are actually up. Never
prioritize,
mind.
or who
We'll watch
knows,
this later.
you might even
Never mind. Servers are back up. Okay, let's get back on. All right.
glance over an item that you think is no bueno, which is
Okay.
actually quite good. So with
Okay.
that, let's go over some widely misunderstood or underestimated items in Classic WoW. I'll be
Alright.
sticking to pre-raid and raid items solely rather than lower level items because that's where it actually matters.
Yeah.
And this information will of course
Nobody gives
be
a shit about
useful as
leveling.
you're gearing out for raids in the first phase of Classic. Here we go. So we got the most underrated items in Classic WoW endgame.
Okay.
Let's get into it. Alright, so the first item we got is called Heart of Wormthalak. It drops off the last boss in LBRS Lower Blackrock Spire, Wormthalak. So on first glance, it may seem pretty average. It says chance to bathe your melee target in flames for 120 to 180 fire damage.
I feel like that'd be good
Nothing
for
too
rogues, right?
special. But this item has its situational uses where it's actually quite good, and for certain classes, it's actually one of the best trinkets in the game. So in general, as
Wait a second.
pretty much any melee DPS, this is a pretty good trinket, especially in the earlier days when your
Yeah.
character is less affected by
Oh,
power
boy.
creep. The actual just flat damage from this is pretty significant. On a Fury Warrior, a rogue, you name it, it's pretty damn
I think
good.
for a dueling
In
class, that'd be
PvP
insane.
on rogues, it's really good, especially in combination with your poison. So as a rogue, if you're locking up a warrior, let's say, or any plate-wearing enemy in a full stun combo, and
I
you
should
have
probably change my
constant
title to level
micro
43, but I don't
elemental
know.
damage
Tons of
going on
fucking
that target
damage.
from either weapon procs,
I don't know how to
this
mess with
trinket,
that right now,
or
so I'm
your
just
poisons
not
for
gonna
your
do it
instant
until I
poison or
start
whatever
stream.
poisons that you plan on using.
Again, at
Those
some
little
point in
spell
time.
damage procs actually will add up to be a decent amount, especially on a
okay.
plate-wearing target since it's bypassing his armor. What's really interesting about this trinket is that it actually has a chance to crit, so the spell damage or the
I don't remember
damage
what this
proc
quest is over
can
here.
crit.
I think it's
And
just
another interesting aspect
yeah,
is
it's
that
just
you can proc
cloth
the armor
donation.
effect while in cat form, so it's actually a really good trinket for feral druids, let's say.
Who cares about
Now, as
feral
I just
druids?
stated, it's
Who gives
actually
a
one of
fuck?
the better trinkets for a couple different classes. And
Okay.
the one class that it's really, really good on, at least from what we understand with current proc rates,
Probably rogues, right?
is the Ret Paladin. So with a lot of
Oh,
theory
no.
crafting that's been done and
Oh, no.
simulation based on damage,
Oh, this is
it's
a dungeon?
actually one of the best trinkets and arguably one of the best in slot trinkets for many raid tiers.
Oh, this is ZF.
Okay.
I like to think of this trinket as the welfare version of the Dark Moon card Maelstrom. And as a Ret Paladin, from what I understand, the best two trinkets that you could use are actually Heart of Wormthalak and Dark Moon card Maelstrom.
What
I
level
was
is
raiding in a pretty strong guild on Phoenix a while ago, and we had a feral druid in that guild
ZF.
who was using this trinket, and
Probably
he
soda
pulled
popping.
some really surprising numbers, and clearly he knew what he was doing. He was one of the few feral
44
druids
to
that would actually
54.
compete on the damage meter in the entire server. So yeah, if you're a melee
No,
DPS and you just
I'm not doing it.
doing LBRS and it drops, then don't overlook it. It's quite good.
I would need
Alright,
roll
so
on
this
that.
one for my vanilla veterans out there
Is
who
this
know
a shriveled
everything
heart?
about the game, every little detail, and are constantly correcting me, then
Okay.
you're probably gonna already know this one and find that it's really obvious. But for
I'm still
those
gonna go
guys
down
who
there to
actually
do
know
this
vanilla,
portion of
who
the
are
quest,
really
but that's
taking
it.
seriously and are really looking forward to get into it this time, this might be news to you. So
Carrot on a
there's
stick.
this item called Edgemasters handguards. It's
Oh
a
yeah,
BLE
apparently
world
these are
drop
like
mail
ridiculously
gloves
good. I
that
have no fucking
a
idea
really
about this.
unique
Dragonflight has been really good. That's what I'm hearing. But like, is it really good compared to the last couple of expansions, or is it really good compared to like vanilla BC Wrath? Because that's like, I know with a lot of game franchises, they'll release like 2 or 3 titles and they just suck. So when they finally release something that's better than those, but not really that great, the community, tends to go head over heels for it, even though it's maybe not that good, from my own personal experience. The only thing that I've seen with Dragonflight that I like is the return of talent trees. That's it. The problem I've noticed with Blizzard expansions or World of Warcraft expansions since after Kata, because I think Kata still did this to some point, or to some extent, is that there's no complex quest lines anymore. There's no out of the way cool shit to find anymore. I mean, there is a little bit sometimes here and there, but like vanilla, like you got rewarded for like exploration. In today's WoW, you have a big open world, but you're honestly better off just staying on like one path. And I really didn't care for the level crunch. I'm gonna be honest with you. I can see some pros to the level crunch, but I think one thing that expansions fail to do, and this includes Burning Crusade, is that they didn't add more early game starting areas, or like level 20 to 30 areas. Something to like add some variety to the leveling experience, because really in vanilla and up to Wrath, there's only like 3 leveling routes to take. I'm pretty sure. Like there's you can go Baron. Oh, hold on, let me look at the map. For Horde, it would go Barrens, Ashenvale, right? And then where the fuck do you go from Ashenvale? Probably Desolass and like a mix of Desolass and Thousand Needles, maybe? At that point, you're better off coming over here. Because Wetlands doesn't have shit for quest for Horde. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. And you pretty much have to go to Stranglethorn if you're Horde. If you're Alliance... See, I haven't been to Feralass yet, so I don't know. There might only be 2 routes if you're Horde, and I think there's 3 if you're Alliance, but they didn't add any more to the game. So, like, you could make, like, 4 classes, and that would be cool, but you'd get bored of leveling after a while. So how does it work now with the level crunch, and you have like all these areas that are like level 1 to 10 now, all these zones, or 1 to or 10 to 15 or whatever. Is it just optional places to go to level, or is there still like a method to it? Because that's a lot of low level zones. Because I haven't played retail since Cataclysm, actually. I guess my question is, if I'm playing retail WoW and I want to level, considering how it's structured right now, from what I read, let me look. I'm gonna go back to Wowhead here, because that'll confirm my suspicions. Database, zones. Oh shit, it actually told me right there. Hold on. See, it says expansions now. 1 to 30. Classic. So does it take forever to go from 1 to 2 now? Everything is always within 5 levels of you? Oh, okay. Because see, it says classic 1 to 30. Burning Crusade 10 to 30. Wrath of the Lich King 10 to 30. Cataclysm 30 to 35. Mist 10 to 35. Warlords 10 to 40. BFA 10 to 50. I don't know, that just seems kind of dumb. It really, honestly, it seems like they're just throwing away a lot of content that people bought. It's like, imagine you buying Wrath of the Lich King expansion just to find out that it was just going to be some bullshit starting zone later on. They shouldn't have crunched the levels like that. They should just kept adding on to them. It would have made the grind a lot longer, but like, isn't it, from a marketing standpoint, isn't it a better idea to have people like in your game leveling and playing it rather than just getting to max level and playing endgame content and getting bored and playing something else? I don't know.
Sort of itemization style.
That's just how I feel
This
about
is
it.
Off
insane.
first glance, you might look at this, and if you don't understand how vanilla itemization works, you might just say, there's no real stats that I can recognize here.
Right,
There's
yeah.
no crit, there's no attack power, there's no strength, agility, nothing.
Are they
so
actually
it seems kind
bits?
of weird. But if we take a look at the
Oh shit,
tooltip,
where am I?
it
Oh,
says
I'm there.
increases
Okay.
axes +7, daggers +7, and swords +7. That's referring to weapon skill, and weapon
Right.
skill is probably
Oh,
one of
was
the
one of
most
my
important
guildmates.
stats for melee in the entire game. It
I wonder why they don't increase the mace stat by +7. That's the thing, is because they have axes and daggers and swords.
increases their hit
Yeah,
chance
that's
against
weird.
higher level mobs, so bosses are level 63, and reduces the damage reduction on their glancing blows. So for single target boss DPS, these are pretty much the best melee warrior gloves in the
Okay,
game
dude.
until I think Cthulhu.
I
And
could
it's a level
probably
40
do this
full
quest,
gold
'cause it's
drop,
just
so
the
you can
scarab
pretty much get
shells.
these while doing Zul'Farrak,
Yeah, you just
and
buy them off the
have
auction
best
house
gloves
easy.
I'm gonna wait until I'm
and if you
44.
are so lucky to have that happen to you, you
At
pretty much
least
just buy
before I do
epic
it.
riding, because I've seen these gloves sell for easily 1,000 gold.
What the fuck?
Now we could piggyback off of this and just talk about weapon
Can
skill
I
in
get that?
general. There's so many items out there that you might overlook because you don't understand weapon skill and how important it is.
See, I actually, I feel like that kind of stuff is actually really cool, like the weapon skill and everything. I don't think they should add
You know, for me, that's like the best experience. Or, the one thing I probably enjoy doing the most in this is leveling. I like dungeons a lot. I like raids. I don't really care for PvP. I like leveling. Because, you know, you get like a really basic shit fucking character, and you slowly make him stronger, and you get to kind of, shape him into how you want him to play. I like it. And leveling would have been a lot better had they added more mid-game zones, early game zones. And they only ever did that when they made new races. And it was only like, what, 2 for each race? If that? I think Worgen's only got the 1. Pretty sure. And Goblin's got 1. The Panda's got 2. I think, right? So yeah, like it didn't, they didn't add anything worthwhile. Yeah, these are all for ZF, my goodness. I'm just gonna keep them. I'm gonna go back to Booty Bay probably. Need to go to a bank. There's not a bank here in vanilla, is there? Unless it's down here. I think it's just auctioneers down here. Yep. In fact, there might not even be a bank at all. Oh no, here it is.
Time is money, friend.
Let me look this up again. Green Hills of Stranglethorn. Alright, what's the first? First chapter is 1, 4, and 6.
Right back.
So I haven't made any chapters yet. So this I know. 1, 4, and 6. 1, 6, 4, and 8. I'm pretty sure I have 8. Didn't I just run over 8? Yes, I did. Okay. So how do I combine these? Do I have to be on the quest to combine them? I don't remember. I'm gonna go back there anyway, so you know what? I need to make something. I'm just gonna go back to Orgrimmar. I need to go to a tailor. Use up all my cloth. Yeah, and it seems like a pretty quick process to level up your character nowadays in retail too. I still have my combustion now. I haven't even used it yet. I love that spell. I would sell stuff on the auction house in this, but the problem with the auction house bot is that you can usually exploit that and sell things a little more expensive than they would normally sell for and make a fuck ton of money, and I'd rather not do any exploits. Were you in a guild? No. Oh, you're not in a guild. Hold on, let me invite you. IR invite. Awesome. Well, you're not in a guild either. Bullshit. Am I not typing that in right? AUERIA, I think. No, I don't know. Whatever. I'm autistic. Anyway, I'm gonna play the video.
Weapon skill back into WoW, but they should add something that's like weapon skill. And I wish they would like have something that was more interesting.
I like weapon skill. I like the whole resist, dodge, parry thing. It was just it kind of felt rewarding to go from not being able to hit shit to being able to hit at least 90% of your attacks.
I don't know. I feel like all the stats in the game are kind of, they're not as interesting as they used to be.
We've got Age Core Leather Gloves and Molten Core, which as a dagger rogue are incredibly good, but you might look at them at first glance and see strength and just be a bit confused. But these gloves are incredibly good if you're using daggers. We've got Obsidian Age Blade, which is also in Molten Core.
I could
and
probably do that and get some rep.
Where in the early days you could actually get away with running two-handed Fury.
But I'm still pretty far away
you
from
might actually see
Exalted.
the sword drop, and it might be better than your current setup with dual wielding. Once Dire Maul is released, we've got Distracting Dagger, which is an incredible offhand dagger for dagger rogues with a 1.3 weapon speed, proccing
It
poisons
distracts
like
them from other
we got
daggers.
Mugger's Belt, which is just a great belt. We got Maladath, which is in Black Lair, and everyone knows how good this is in an offhand. And in AQ40, we've got the Anubisath Warhammer.
That drops
which
some
again,
trash.
off first glance, you might not think much of it. But by the time you get into Nax, there's two really strong maces. There's the Castigator and Misplaced Servo Arm, which also drops off trash. So if you have one of those maces in your main hand, this is pretty much the best offhand mace that you can pair with it, giving the increased mace skill.
I'm just gonna make a bunch of these.
So in
I wish they never got rid of the misplaced servo arm. I actually feel so stupid, man. We used to run Nax like every Friday night. Nax 60 back at 70, and I don't have any of the old items. I only have like one belt or something like that. I really should have tried harder to like try to get people to trade me gear and shit. I feel kind of stupid for not doing that.
general, I guess just don't overlook weapon skill. Whenever you see weapon skill on an item, it's generally incredibly good. And in my time, I've seen so many dagger rogues overlook the Age Core Leather Gloves, and it just it boggles the mind, you know. Just because they see
They're
50
bad.
strength, they think, ah, this doesn't seem very good. But that +5 dagger skill is.
You know what I think they should do? And I've said this before. They should go back, like after Classic Wrath has ran its course. They need to make a classic expansion that stays in the old Azeroth but adds on to it, because there is a whole lot of unfinished zones and shit that they had made that they never finished, that's still in that game that they could finish. Just saying. Because I think, honestly, Kata was great, but they did that way too early. It's like after 3 expansions, they're just going to change the whole like main world. I don't know about that. Because there is at least, from the videos I've watched, there is at least 6 more expansions that they could have done on Old Azeroth that they didn't do. And now they're starting to... They're doing the Dragon Isles now. When that's been a predicted expansion since Burning Crusade. They're just now getting to it. Like the Shadowlands? BFA? I don't know. There's a whole lot of shit they could have did before that.
So this item, you're probably going to see it around quite a bit because it's relatively easy to get.
Yeah.
It's a two-hander that drops in Zul'Gurub with a really nice
This is from
equip on hit effect.
Broodlord,
It's called Halberd of
Mandokir.
Smiting, which is a nice polearm with a
Or whatever the hell his name
3.5
is,
second
Bloodlord
attack
Mandokir.
speed and an equip chance on hit effect that says chance to...
Hey, another thing I would like to see that will never happen is Wrath, but with classic mechanics. Like hunters being like vanilla instead of how they are in Wrath, where your pet choice means a hell of a lot more. Most mana costs are base mana cost instead of everything being a percentage. Things like that. Like if there was like a classic Wrath, I would play the fuck out of that. I would probably subscribe.
to decapitate the target on a melee swing, causing 452 to 676
It's a ridiculous
physical
amount of
damage.
fucking damage. Like, that's insane. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah,
if this-
exactly. Carries on Crypts. They could have did that.
Scales with attack power or anything.
And isn't there hold on. Aren't there like, aren't there troll islands somewhere down here? I think it might be in off Tarnassus. I don't know. I saw a video on them. You just go to like these islands and there's like these huts and shit, and there's a lot of unfinished shit like on the island. Um, what else? Oh, you have old Outlands that's out over here somewhere. You can get to it. You have to load it in with like a, it's like separate files you have to add to the server in order to get to it. Oh, Emerald Dream. I can get to that right now. You want to see it? You want to see Emerald Dream? We can do Emerald Dream right now. Fuck yeah. I gotta find out how to get back to it though. There's old Outlands. There's like a specific teleport command that I have to do. Here it is. Pardon the music. It's a YouTube video from 14 years ago, and if you remember those videos, there was no commentary, and there was just loud background music, and everything was made in Windows Movie Maker. Oh, apparently there's two different zones here. You have to be a GM. Yeah. There's two different zones. Okay, hold on. Look at this. A whole fucking zone that they never used. They sunk money into making this and they never used it. What was their excuse for that? They didn't like they didn't feel like they could add it to the game and have it work with the lore or whatever? Is that the reason? And yet 10 years later we get Shadowlands, which is just full of retcons. So I don't know what the hell this is. And you know the best part about this? I could actually fill this with NPCs and make this like a little raid if I wanted to. Oh. Wonder where the graveyard's gonna be. Hold on. You know what? No, I don't want to find out. We're just gonna do that. And everything is so green. See, I can't use GM Fly in vanilla, unfortunately. So I don't even know how I would go about getting up there. Unless I'm just in some kind of pit. Oh, here's a ramp. Okay, cool. I want to find out what's up here. I can't even really see the terrain because it's just green. Oh, I'm dead again. Nope. Now I am. Nope. I think I can get up here. Well, they put enough effort into this to keep you from getting out, so this must have been like an instance or something. I'm dead again. I'll repair my, I'll just repair myself now. There we go. Being a GM is great. Even if you don't have anyone to boss around, you can still, like, explore shit. Yeah, this could have been a zone. Though I don't think this is big enough to be a zone. This is more of a raid. But, this... Verdant Fields. This would be a zone. This is similar to, like, Ashen Vale. This one's much more unfinished than the other one, because if you just walk out so far, the trees stop. And, everything just kind of stops. I can walk out there, like, really far, but it just hits an invisible wall. I don't know if I can get over there. I don't even think there's anything over there. Oh, maybe there is. See, GM Fly isn't a command. Wait, what? What the hell? I can't control myself. Hold on. They must have added this in or something. How do I go up? Oh, it's just like swimming. I forgot swimming's different in vanilla. You can't go like up or down. You have to actually look. Okay. You can't modify your flying speed though. GM fly off. Alright, I'm gonna see what's over here for the first time. I actually haven't been over here. Because I didn't know I had GM flying ability. Just a bunch of random shit and then it ends. I don't know how to get to Outlands on here. Well, you can do it through the Dead Mines glitch, but I mean like actually teleport to the, you know, the Dark Portal exit and everything, because that's not in there. Let's check out... You could do Mount Hyjal too, but everybody's probably seen Mount Hyjal at this point. What's A speed? Oh, I bet if I modify swim, it'll modify fly, because this is basically swimming. Yep. Awesome. Alright, I'm gonna go check out the north coast here. There's a whole lot of unfinished shit in these mountains. And I'm pretty sure there's, isn't there like that little elven village that's over here somewhere? What's that? Just like a random different ground texture. This zone wasn't even used after Burning Crusade. They could have used it. They could have added something here, but they didn't. Oh, here's that night elf. Or elven Naga. This is more of a Naga. I'm sorry. Shrine. Or no, it's elven. I don't know. They all look similar to me. And this actually looks the same no matter what version of the game you're on, if you're on Burning Crusade or Vanilla, because when you go to the 2 zones for Blood Elves... Oh. Shit, now I can't control my character. When you go to the 2 zones for Blood Elves, you, it's basically like a separate instance. It's not actually in the main world. Can I get to the invisible wall here? Or am I gonna get stuck? No. Usually if you get close to the name of the place, it will send you to it. Yeah. Yeah. Possible unpopular opinion, but I think flying was a mistake. Because once you got flying, you basically skipped everything. It took so much difficulty out of, and depth out of the game. You could just go from A to B. You didn't have to worry about, elite mobs or random shit in between. 2 points, you just flew. You didn't really get to see any of the doodads that the developer put in. You didn't get to see any details, or it was just, it made it a very linear experience, even though it was non-linear at the same time, if that makes sense. See, I know there's a dev room, but I don't know how to get to it. Anyway. I'm gonna go ahead and go back where I was. Oh, shit. There, now I'm a normal person again. I can sell all my shoulders.
Go forth to victory.
And now I need to go to Booty Bay. Oh, I need to go get that quest too. Because I might have all the pages. Let me check again here. Somebody put this in the comments. 10, 11, 14, 16. Let me organize them here. 1. 4. 8. 10. 11. 14. 16. 18. Oh, I don't have them all. I probably have the first 3 chapters though. 20. 21. 24. 27, 20, 25, 26, 27. So I just need one more page. You know what that's from? The bone necklace quest, where you have to go over here to get it's like a 2% drop or some shit. what was it called? It's probably in my history. I'm not going to look it up right now, but there's a quest where you have to go and get like something. I think it's like something to do with a bone necklace. I don't know. Something. It's like a 2% drop, and then there's another quest where you have to go back over there to get tusks, and it's like a 4% drop. And I was getting more pages than I was quest items. That's why I'm sitting on all these fucking pages. It took absolutely forever. The good news is I went up 2 levels because of both those quests. I got more XP from the mobs I was killing than the actual quest. Way more. Flying was a mistake as early as they did it. Tech engineer wasn't there. That's true because verticality in WoW was always ass. That's why like they flirted with the idea of making an underwater expansion, but they never did it because it just wasn't going to be. It was going to be shit. Yeah. I don't know. I can see why flying is. I can see why it was good in Outlands, but after that, they just kind of overused it. If they had flying that was maybe just in Outlands, because of all the cool, like, flying, floating rocks and stuff you could go out to, that was cool, but to spam it in every zone and every expansion from there on, it just seemed... It's like, why even make the ground at that point? Just make everything a flat texture, like in all the unfinished stuff I just went to. Just make it all on flat, like one texture, just grass, no trees, no nothing. You're not gonna walk through it anywhere. You're gonna fly over it. Might as well, you know, save the money, right? I did not know about this. I didn't know you could ask for dungeon directions. Just the auction house? Where's the auction house? I just went right by it, didn't I? It's over here. Yep. I'm gonna see if I can get the last page to this. Oh, there it is. I just need 25. Yeah, I'll buy that. I try not to buy anything from the auction house because I'm trying to save for a mount, but it's just one page for 15 silver. I'll take it. And now I need to go to Booty Bay. And the quickest way to do that would probably go to the blimp. Yeah, they pretty much revamped flying in that from what I heard. And it looks pretty cool, but I don't know. In my opinion, they just... I'm a little jaded when it comes to WoW. Because of all the times where they just screwed the game up. Or added in a system that, you know, sucked. Even if it was just for the length of an expansion. Or if they add in a good system and then take it out. I don't know. like, I know games need to like change and evolve, but in my opinion, the best way WoW could have evolved was content. I don't think you needed more game mechanics. I think it just needed more content. Like, instead of, I'm gonna use this as an example, but I like glyphs. Glyphs are nice, but like, instead of glyphs, why not just add in, like I said, a couple different low-level areas to go to, you know? Keep people playing your game. Because with glyphs, you can just buy them off the auction house, and boom, you have glyphs. You didn't really have to do a whole hell of a lot. Which one is, this is Undercity, I believe. Yep. So this is... Yeah, that's where I want to go. Awesome. And the rest of these I'm just gonna probably put in the bank. Unless I can repeat the quest, but I doubt it.
Hard to log
I don't know
off,
where I was
but
in
it
this
also
video.
drops off trash. So if you have one of those maces in your main hand, this is pretty much the best offhand mace that you can pair with it.
I don't know. I feel like all the stats in the game are kind of, they're not as interesting as they used to be.
Melee warrior gloves in the game
dude.
until I think Cthulhu, and it's a level
Wow.
44 world. Any raid tiers.
It was some time after they talked about weapon skills
Paladins.
that I stopped
Okay.
I like
it.
to think of this trinket as the welfare version. Spell damage procs actually will add up to be a decent amount, especially on a
okay.
plate-wearing target since it's bypassing his armor. Situational uses where it's actually quite good.
I would need
So
roll on
this
that.
one for my vanilla veterans out there
Is
who
this
know
a shriveled
everything
heart?
about the game, every little detail, and are constantly correcting me, then
Okay.
you're probably gonna already know this one and find that it's really obvious. But for those of you guys that are actually newer to vanilla,
Some other
or never
random
really
weird
played it
item.
seriously and are really looking forward to get into it this time, this might be news to you. So
Carrot on a
there's
stick.
this item called Edgemasters handguards. It's
Oh yeah,
immediately
apparently
world
these are
drop
like
mail
ridiculously
gloves
good. I
that
have no
have
fucking
Who hates the game?
idea
really
about this.
unique sort of itemization style to them.
Yeah, this
So
is
Off
insane.
first glance, you might look at this, and if you don't understand how vanilla itemization works, you might just say, "There's no real stats that I can recognize here."
Right.
Do I hate the
There's
game?
no attack power. There's no strength.
I don't hate this
No,
game. I
it's
love this
actually
game.
kinda weird. But if we
Game
take a
I'm
look
playing
at the
right now.
tooltip and we read, it says increases
Okay.
axes +7, daggers +7, and swords
kinda like,
+7, referring to weapon skill. And weapon
Right.
skill is probably one of the most important.
It's kind of like pretty much every AAA game series. Like Halo, Battlefield, all those kind of went in weird directions, and they did a bunch of shit that nobody wanted, and the game isn't half as good, even at its core, compared to, you know, the original games. It's like a trend. I don't know. I don't know if it's something that these people are being taught in, you know, game creation school or whatever, game design. I don't know, but it's everybody's doing it to where they just I don't know, make the game shitty. And I think it's because they're looking at it more as a quick way to make a buck by removing features and releasing a bare bones experience with loot boxes and shit like that. Like, I was watching a video just yesterday. Somebody was comparing Battlefield Hardline to the newest Battlefield 2040 something. And he was shooting, like, there's one of those cranes on like a dock that has like had a shipping container in it. And in Hardline, if you shoot that with a rocket, the shipping container will actually fall, and it could like land on somebody or whatever. In 2043 or 2042, whatever it is, it doesn't do anything. It just goes back and forth. Mind you, the whole Battlefield series was popularized because of the destruction that they added. Like Battlefield 1942 and Battlefield 2 were great, but it didn't hit that next level until Bad Company. And everybody loved it. Everybody loved to just rip down a building, you know. If somebody's in there, it's like, I want to blow it up with him in it. That was awesome. And now they don't even have, they have half of that now. And you can't tell me it was game optimization. It's literally just a shipping container that's just going to fall. It's going to have physics to it. It doesn't require that much processing power anymore. There was a time where game physics used a lot of processing power, but now's not that time. It's very little. So, I don't know. Video games are just boring nowadays. I prefer indie games. Or just this, you know. I don't know. I've never met anybody that wanted loot boxes. I think they're only a good idea in free to play games. I don't know why they ever like you're gonna pay 70, what is it, $80 for Modern Warfare 2? Isn't it $79.99? I'm pretty sure it is, right? Or is it $69.99? Either way, it's expensive, right? You're gonna pay that, and I still have to get the battle pass to get most of the content in the game? Why? Why do I have to subscribe to a game that I bought? That doesn't make any sense. I'm going the wrong way. They should have had all that. They should have had a battle pass-esque system, but it should have been free, and or they could just go back to the old, you know, prestige system where you just unlock stuff as you level up, and then you prestige and do it all over again. But I think they should have had that and a free battle pass system to where you unlock content just from playing the game, and it keeps people playing the game. Like League of Legends. Game sucks now, but its free-to-play model is and has been light years better than most battle pass models are today. You can either unlock everything by playing the game for, you know, 10 years, or you can just pay $10 and unlock, you know, a chunk of it. Oh wait, it's down over here. Oh shit. Oh fuck, I'm dead. Don't you love Stranglethorn? I love Stranglethorn so much. It's the only zone in the game where you just stop and wonder, why is there a level 60 here? What could they possibly want in Stranglethorn? Are they grinding fishing? He's probably still up there. I need to go. I need to get the hell out of here. Oh, there he is. Is that him? Who is that? Oh, it's just a level 30. Hold on. Hold on. I'll show this guy. I'll show this guy what for here. Hold on. Oh, you're immune? What the fuck? What the fuck? I hate paladins. Why are you immune to everything? Fuck you. I don't even have the mana to deal with that right now. Hey, you there. Come here. No, come here. Where are you going? Come over here. I got a job for you. Kill him. Why is this paladin hitting like a truck? Oh. Oh. Shit's hitting the fan. Who's got the quest? You do? Okay, I'm gonna hide in this tent. Or not. I'll hide in this tent. Yeah? No? I don't have the mana to do anything right now. It sucks. Like, he can pretty much just kill me right now. Oh, help me. Okay, how do I, how do I combine these? I need to get out of here. Yeah, I remember when there was certain things in multiplayer games that you unlock through either grinding the single player, doing a multiplayer challenge, or shit like that. Like, was it the Hayabusa armor in Halo 3, where you got like all the skulls, and then you beat the game on legendary or something like that? I don't remember. Oh fuck, it's that warlock again. And then I don't know, you know what, the golden wasn't the golden deagle in Call of Duty 4? Wasn't there a gold eagle? Hold on, I'm gonna look that up. I remember you having to do something ridiculous to unlock that. Gold Desert Eagle COD 4. How do you get the Gold Desert Eagle? Oh, you had to reach level 55. Never mind, that's not very prestigious. So you did prestige once you reached it. So I guess it's prestigious. Max prestige in COD 4 didn't really mean anything. It just meant you didn't have a life, that's all. And World of Warcraft has a shit ton of that, where, you beat a boss and you get a certain item or whatever, and you're just, like, wearing it as, like, a symbol of, badassery. And you're basically just showing it off. Like, every time you're in Stormwind. I remember my first time playing WoW, actually. And I'm in Stormwind. And I'm just, you know, walking around checking everything out, and I'm like looking at all these level 70, level 80 players, looking at the crazy ass fucking armor and them staffs, and I'm inspecting, and oh, that's a legendary, blah blah blah, you know. I'm like, holy shit, I want that, you know. Nowadays, yeah, you just pay like $20, you get yourself a whole set, no problem. People won't even know. You can just make shit up. You can just be like, hey, yeah, I grinded for that mount, man. I was there. I got it when it first came out, man. Took me 1,000 hours. Just make up some bullshit story. Okay, that's a mage, right? Fuck. Oh, is he gone? Because I need the drink, like, really bad. Who the hell is this guy? He doesn't see me, I know that much. I'm trying to stay on topic, but I'm also trying not to die, so I apologize. I'm kind of scared to move right now. I think I'm just gonna stay hidden in this bush. I love bots. I love this. I've played with bots for a while now on various server cores, and there was always like some. It was always either buggy, or the bots didn't really do anything, or the server would always crash, or it would just corrupt itself randomly. But this particular core and program, it's amazing. I love it. And they do have line of sight, obviously, because they would kill me right now if they didn't. But I have a feeling that any moment now they're just gonna run like this way, or this way, and I'm gonna get screwed. They're not moving though. Hold on, my dog's at the door. Why is this paladin hitting like a truck? He just 3-shot me. A level 31. Paladins and vanilla were bad, right? Right? They were awful. Right? They made him pay the hybrid tax, right? They're still over here. Like, I literally can't do anything. Well, I could do something. I could definitely do something. Who else did I invite? I know I invited one other person. Who's that guy?
They can't join our group. They can't join our group. They can't join our group.
Whatever, I'll just live with what I have here. Where is everybody? I could just summon them. They will eventually, like, make their way to me, and they'll go to the nearest flight path or wherever. They'll take the boat from, or the blimp or whatever's closer, and they'll make their way to me from wherever they are. But in this case, I'm going to cheat a little bit. Actually, can I skull him? No, I can't. Yeah, kill the pet. Oh, he feigned death there for a second.
My mana is low. Spear isn't ready.
What the fuck, man?
That spear isn't ready yet.
There. Now how the hell do I do this? Collect the missing pages. To complete each of the 4 chapters. Shouldn't he have given me something? Do I need... How the hell do I do this? I'm gonna watch a video. Because usually it says like use to combine or whatever, you know? Oh, wait a minute.
How are ya?
Of course.
Off with you. Watch your back. Safe travels. Watch your back. See you soon.
Oh, I guess you guys can probably leave now. Sorry, I didn't mean to hold you up like that.
Great to meet you. Off with you. Safe travels. Watch your back. See you soon. Safe travels.
That really didn't do a whole lot for me, did it? I think I might do the mastery quest lines because I haven't done those yet.
Greetings. Bless you.
Holy shit. He's all over me. He's got like something to prove, man. Being stream sniped here. Somebody else just hit me. Oh. I like how once I tell the level 60s in my guild, like, hey, I don't need you guys anymore. I'm good. I can take care of myself. As soon as I do that and they leave, the alliance bots come in. Oh, look at that 2-minute respawn too. Maybe I should change it to a PvE server, huh? That's right. Leave. Go away. I'm just a lowly mage. What's the durability at right now? Okay. Yeah, because PvP kills don't count towards your durability. Oh, look, they're back. Or she's back. Except I can probably kill her. But I won't have enough mana to do it. Or maybe I will. For fuck's sake. Consecration. Bullshit. $3,000 bots on this server. Can you tell? I also made it to where they don't duel each other anymore, because they used to get stuck in like starting hubs and they would just be spam dueling each other, but I turned that off, so now they're literally all out in the wild doing who knows what. Alright, it's time to fuck this priest. Combustion, bitch. Oh, you're back. Oh, you used hand. Oh, I'm still standing in that. I'm so bad at PvP. Fuck. He'll probably come back. Usually there's like there's like the bots, but then there's like the bot director, and if the bot director senses them dying in the same spot over and over again, they'll just like teleport them to like a random location. That's their level. We can go again. I don't need combustion. Now I'm gonna take these quests. These innocent, low-level quests.
What can I do for you? Safe travel.
Greetings.
And I'm gonna go on my merry way.
Be careful. Well met.
This guy doesn't know when to quit. And his lay hands is on cooldown, pretty sure. Yep. So what do I gotta kill here? Did I already do Tiger Mastery? I don't think I did all of Tiger Mastery.
You got my attention?
Need help?
No. See you soon.
Whatever. The Panthers and Raptors, they're down here, I'm pretty sure. It would be kind of funny if I looked behind me and one of those bots was running up to me. I'm going the wrong direction. Oh, I don't want to go that way either. I might as well just turn this on every time I have it. I can't think of a situation where I would just want to wait and have it in my back pocket. I mean, it could be useful to just whip out during like a gank, but if I already have it out, you know. Does it really make a difference? Anyway, I want to turn that video back on.
Stats for melee in the entire game. It
I wonder why they don't increase the mace stat by +7. That's the thing, is because they have
increases
axes and daggers and swords.
their hit
Yeah,
chance
that's
against
weird.
higher level mobs, so bosses are level 63, and reduces the damage reduction on their glancing blows. So for single target boss DPS, these are pretty much the best melee warrior gloves in the game
dude.
until I think Cthulhu. And it's a level
Wow.
44 world drop, so you could pretty much get these while doing Zul'Farrak.
Yeah, you just buy them off the auction
best
house,
gloves in
easy.
the game. And if you are so lucky to have that happen to you, you pretty much just buy your epic riding, because I've seen these gloves sell for easily 1,000 gold.
What the
Now
fuck?
we could piggyback off of this and just talk about weapon
Can
skill
I
in
get that?
general. There's so many items out there that you might overlook because you don't understand weapon skill and how important
Fuck.
it is.
See, I actually, I feel like that kind of stuff is actually really cool, like the weapon skill and everything. I don't think they should add weapon skill back into WoW, but they should add something that's like weapon skill. And I wish they would. Like,
I
have
literally
something that
couldn't
was
do
more
anything.
Interesting. I don't know. I feel like all the stats in the game are kind of, they're not as interesting as they used to be.
We've got Age Core leather gloves and Molten Core, which as a dagger rogue are incredibly good, but you might look at them at first glance and see strength and just be a bit confused. But these gloves are incredibly good if you're using.
You know, I was thinking that I needed more bots on my server. That was a thought that I had at one point in time. Yep. Maybe once I switch back over to my like Burning Crusade or my Wrath servers, I might add in more bots just because there's more area to cover. But I'm not exactly sure how much my computer can handle, because once I have too many bots, it starts to get kind of laggy. They seem to have optimized them a lot more, and if I turned off their ability to do quests, that would probably save me a lot of processing power too, and I could just have 5,000 bots running around just aimlessly grinding, and it would be fine.
Using daggers. We've got Obsidian Age Blade, which is also
Age
in
Blade.
Molten Core, and it's
very
a pretty
old.
damn good two-hander, where in the early days you could actually get away with running two-handed Fury DPS. You might actually see the sword drop, and it might be better than your current setup with dual wielding. Once Dire Maul is released, we've got Distracting Dagger, which is an incredible offhand dagger for dagger rogues with a 1.3 weapon speed, proccing
It
poisons like
distracts them
crazy.
from other
We've got
daggers.
Mugger's Belt, which is just a great belt. We got Maladath, which is in Blackwing Lair, and everyone knows how good this is as an offhand.
Oh,
And in
dude.
AQ40, we've got the Anubisath Warhammer.
That drops
which
some
again,
trash.
off first glance, you might not think much of it. But by the time you get into Nax, there's two really strong maces. There's the Castigator and Misplaced Servo Arm, which also drops off trash. So if you have one of those maces in your main hand, this is pretty much the best offhand mace that you can pair with it, giving the increased mace skill to affect both maces. So in
I wish they never got rid of the misplaced servo arm. I actually feel so stupid, man. We used to run Nax like every Friday night. Nax 60 back at 70, and I don't have any of the old items. I only have like one.
Oh yeah,
belt or something
we heard
like
this
that.
part already.
But this,
Fast
like,
forward a little
scales
bit.
with the
Warrior in Warsong Gulch or Wrathy Basin.
Dude, like that's just man, like I'm honestly like just thinking about like all the cool weapons that the game used to have. Like this always makes me like really fucking nostalgic, because these items in the game used to make they just used to make the game so much more fun and interesting. And like now we have like the King's Rest sword, which is like kind of cool, like that's nice, but I feel like now there's just like so many other damage
Yeah, you know what? Vanilla had the best items. Period. Like, look at this. Look at this. Why would I ever want to use that? Unless I was in like a high level dungeon and I had at least 3000 HP. Why would I ever want to use that? But I could. I could use that if I was in a high level dungeon. I didn't have a mount or had 3000 HP. I could. It's actually a really good warrior item, but why does a warrior need intellect? You don't. You don't. But if you're ever in the open world and you're too poor to afford a mount, there you go. It's there. And I think in vanilla, intellect affects something. The rate at which your weapon skills improve. So intellect on warriors is actually... It's actually viable. When did they change that? What patch was it? Patch changes. Let's see, when it no longer provides spell power. Casters are really good in Wrath. Where's the change in which it intellect, wow, weapon skills. I can't find a patch history on it. I'll give up.
Variables and everything else, everything's just like kind of diluted. But like in classic WoW, like having these items that could do these cool things were just, I don't know. I just get a feeling of like fucking running ZG and getting a cool item out of there that I can use in some sort of a situation or test out. And oh, I'll take this into a BG and I'll use this against a mage and we'll do a lot of damage. Like, I don't know. It feels good, man. It just feels good. Everything's a stat stick. Yeah, I mean, again, like Blizzard's just, they're so worried about like trying to like hyper balance the game that they forgot about just they want to make it like just don't want to make it fun. Like I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just being nostalgic here, but these kinds of things were really fun and they made the game really interesting. It's super enjoyable.
I don't remember where the Panthers are.
Proc is
They might be across the river here.
It goes into it. I think it's
full combos. So let's say
it's
on a
fucking
Mortal Strike
ridiculous,
combo,
yeah.
you get a Wind Fury proc and you get this to proc and
That's a
everything
one-shot.
crits. You could imagine how much damage
that's a
that would
fucking
be
one shot, yeah.
back to back in one global. Super satisfying and relatively underrated, I'd say.
Yep.
So if you see Halberd of Smiting and you need a two-hander, don't overlook it. So this one's in the same line.
I'd say honestly though, like for a warrior, wouldn't just going sword spec be better? I don't know, you don't get the 5% crit, but you also get like all the other stats out of it. I don't know. Like, maybe sword spec would be better. It's really kind of hard for me to say. You're being slightly nostalgic. I know I am.
I'm gonna have to run back to
know.
base camp.
Because players QQ'd hard about unbalanced and Blizzard forced Blizzard to hyperbalance things. But the thing is, like, Blizzard's never hyperbalance things. So let's look at how balanced. That's a really great point that you bring up. Let's look at how balanced the game is right now. Let's open this up and we will look at hyperbalance. Let's see, MDI. Let's see, season. Okay, let's look at the hyperbalance of the game. All classes are, of course, viable now. And let's open this up and oh, look at that. Wow. Wow. Thank God Blizzard has spent so much time hyperbalancing the game, right?
I'm gonna take your pet with me.
This is so balanced.
This is so balanced.
Like, where's a warlock? Is there a warlock in the top 20? Where's the first warlock? Warlocks suck, dude. Oh, they're so stupid, dude. Who would ever play a warlock? Oh my god, dude, what is this? They're not even in the top. Oh, they're, oh wow. Oh, they're okay. This is an Asian team. They always have off the wall strategies. Okay, so you have one warlock in here, and wait, we're about to find a second warlock here. Any day now. Nope. Wow. Wow. 185. Jesus Christ. Like, yeah, they need to do a better job at making the game more balanced. Oh, yeah, sure.
As the halberd. It's another weapon with a sweet on-hit proc. It's called Alcor's Sunraiser.
Okay.
It's a high-level world drop which is quite unique. It's actually one of the best tanking items in the game. So if you guys look at the tooltip, you'll see that it has a 1.3 second fast attack speed. I'm pretty sure that that's the fastest weapon in the game, if I'm not mistaken. And if you guys understand weapon speed when it comes to tanking, the faster the better. So having the fastest weapon in the game on a tank allows you to generate a good amount of rage, and also allows you to generate rage quickly. Like, immediately you just stab the target that you're trying to engage with, get a bit of rage, and can sunder immediately.
Listen. A warrior doesn't use a dagger. Okay? You just don't. You use a sword. And that sword's name is Thunder Fury. That's it. You don't use daggers.
It also has a chance on hit effect
Don't use
that
daggers.
blasts the
It's
target
ridiculous.
for 75 to 105 fire damage, which,
Okay.
considering the actual attack speed of the weapon, procs more often than you'd think.
Right.
And on top of that, it has plus 10 fire resistance, which is really good in the early days. This dagger is one of the best tanking weapons that you can use in the first couple phases of Classic WoW, not only because of the weapon speed and the proc, but the fact that it gives fire resistance, which is really important during Molten Core and can be quite useful in Blackwing Lair. You're going to see a lot of these. A lot of the main tanks in the top guilds on your server are most likely going to use this. That's how it was in Nostalrius. I
Still
was
here.
expecting so many main tanks, or just tanks in general, in some of the top guilds, and even in my guild I was raiding in Pleasure Town Adventures, if you guys know that guild, and our main tank was rocking this. It's also a pretty
the best.
decent offhand for Hemo rogues in PvP, who are stacking elemental procs, maybe Maelstrom Trinket, Heart of Wormthalak, things like that. Maybe in
Am I the only person that finds it a little bit asinine and pointless
I think I lost
for
him.
people to min-max in PvE in Classic WoW? Like, I don't know, I just feel like it's pointless. Like, because the content, like, it's baseline. There's no, like, harder version of the content except for doing it faster. I don't know, I just feel like, who cares? You just go in there, unless you're wiping on the content, then I don't know. It feels like these like little min-max things don't matter. Like, the only thing in my mind that matters in Classic WoW with min-maxing is PvP. That's the only thing that I think matters. Like, that's why people go engineering. That's why you want to get all these different items is PvP. I feel like that's where the min-maxing really does matter, because you're playing against another
I don't care
person
about
that
PvP.
scales in the same way that you do. Like, content is just flat.
combination with a misplaced servo arm. It's a really great dagger, and I think a lot of people just aren't.
Wait, contrarian, okay. Sorry, I don't find.
Though I will say that the PvE experience with real people is just as bad as PvP because, especially in Kata, not so much before Kata, but after Kata came out, a lot of people would immediately inspect you and just start shitting on like any misplaced talent point that wasn't like the top tier build. It was almost like a MOBA community at that point.
It fulfilling to be like, oh well, last week we were able to do molten core in 40 minutes, but this week we did it in 39. Yes. I just don't give a fuck. You just go through the raid, you clear the bosses, and it's not a big deal. I would rather bring a slightly slower group of my friends and people that would be okay with me taking maybe the bindings for Thunder. Than for me to try to do a super fast run of like all super serious people. It's the difference of like 20 minutes.
Exactly.
And maybe an hour or two at most. I don't know. I don't really think that it matters.
Oh, I should probably turn combustion on. I'm not even using it.
But you're spending time outside of the time that you're spending doing the raid to get into the raid and do the raid. I mean, it's the time invested one way or another.
Aware of it, so I'd say it's relatively underrated because of that. So
Yeah,
if
I'll
you're a
Rat
tank and you
Paladins in
see
my
one on the
raids.
auction house for like 100,
Yeah, sure.
150 gold, I'd snag that bad boy. Although you're probably not going to get it for that price.
Yeah, it's basically
this
like
one is
allowing
another
Rat
trinket,
Paladins
and-
in your raid is basically like having a quota for letting disabled people work at a job. You know, you have like a couple of them and, you know, it's okay. And with Rat Paladins, it's pretty much the same thing.
By no means is this a top tier item. It's just not as bad as you might think it is. It's called Venomous Totem, and it has an on-use effect that says increases the chance to apply rogue poisons to your target by 30% for 20 seconds on a 5-minute cooldown. It drops off Broodlord Lash Layer in Blackwing Lair, and it's a rogue-specific trinket. There's a bunch of different class.
I didn't even know about this one.
Blackwing Lair. Now, this trinket is actually pretty decent. It's good in PvE and it's also pretty good in PvP. It's useful in both. It's kind of similar to what I was talking about earlier with Heart of Wormthalak and Maelstrom, where you can run this sort of on-hit effect
Seems
rogue
OP.
build where
I don't even
you're
know.
relying on your poisons and magic on-hit effects. In private servers, this was actually a massive thing because on certain servers, poisons and on-hit effects actually scaled with spell power. But in actual retail vanilla or classic WoW, I don't think that that's going to be the case. But either way, it's pretty damn good. I mean, 30% is a huge increase, especially if you already have improved poisons. You can constantly be proccing instant poisons over and over and over again, or if you really want to make sure that your crippling poison lands on your opener because it's super important, let's say against a warrior or whatever target that you may be fighting, this is a pretty decent trinket. It's useful to have in your
I wish I could
inventory,
like
and if
have
you
a shorter
really wanna
cooldown on that,
you
but
just
that's
wanna
fine.
reset and swap this one on.
I'm gonna get the mana
Trinket's
refund
so
talents
cool. Why
next.
is he losing against the level 58 elite? He's level 60 rogue in Bloodfang. Dude. Why don't you put on a trinket that makes it to where you don't fucking die to a level 58 elite? This is the worst trinket I've ever seen in my whole life. This trinket sucks.
Shh.
I will, and it's good. Like, if you don't have anything better and nobody wants this, or
I'm actually gonna have to get off here so I can shower.
quite situational, you can pick
After
this
I
up.
do these quests, I'll do that.
People pass on it before, then you might as well take it. This one's another trinket, and it's generally only used in PvP, and again, it's quite situational. It's called Barov's Peasant Collar, and it has an on-use effect that says calls forth 3 servants of the House of Barov that will fight, cook, and clean for you. And I mean,
Clean?
I've
for
had
you?
that
Wait,
one.
what the fuck? No, by the way, guys, I just want to let you
I've
know.
never used it though.
Guess who has this trinket right now? Your boy Asmongold. I've got it still in the game. I've held on to it ever since Vanilla WoW. And I've had it the whole fucking time. You mean that trinket? Yeah, you goddamn right. Wait, I need the trinket IRL? No comment.
I mean, that's sort of, I guess, just a little playful tooltip.
Okay.
What it actually does is just calls 3 minions that end up fighting for you.
They're
Now, this is
useless.
quite useful as a PvP trinket, and a lot of people
Really?
tend to use it. It's situational, but I'd say the main strength of it is the
it
fact that
spell
it calls
pushback?
3 minions.
Yeah,
so if you understand how spell pushback works in Classic WoW, every time someone who's trying to cast a
Smart.
spell, if they don't have a shield on themselves, takes damage, their
Yep.
spell will be pushed back for each auto attack depending on their talents, if they have talents to compensate for that mechanic. The fact that it calls 3 individual mobs that are all hitting that target can actually push back the spell cast quite significantly. So if you're playing a warrior and you're fighting against a mage, you summon the 3 minions on him, and maybe he's trying to cast a pyroblast or a spell on top after he's polymorphed you, and you might just be pushing back his cast over and over again. He's still taking damage, and it's just annoying.
I might as well
to
just
deal
do the
with.
stalkers and then I'll go
Healers use
looking
this
for the
a lot. They're
panthers.
trying to just live and heal. They'll call the minions to attack the person that's trying to kill them. They'll put maybe a Shadow Word Pain if it's like a priest, I guess, and just try to live while the minions in the dot just do damage. It's almost
I
like
don't know,
the way
man.
Shadow Fiend works in the Burning Crusade.
Yeah,
Not exactly, but the same kind of play style. Really situational,
about
kind of
that.
a weird trinket, but it's quite easy to get. You get it from a quest called the Last Barov in Western Plaguelands.
Okay.
Anyone can get it. You should probably do it while you're leveling up and just sort of have it in your inventory, and if ever you have a use for it, use it up. Some people just kind of think it's useless and vendor it or disenchant it, but I like to use it. So this next item is actually a druid specific leatherwork
This
helmet.
shit
It's
is
called
ridiculous.
Wolfhead's helm. It's
This
actually
is
a
the-
level 40 helmet, so you might not.
So I had no fucking idea about this helmet. This helmet is like the fucking helm of domination for like the Lich King, but it's for druids. For whatever reason, this is like the best helmet in the entire game for druids, even I think at level 70. Because if you were able to power shift back and forth, you're able to get pretty much infinite energy doing this. It's insane.
think much of it when you look at it, and it doesn't.
Yeah,
really
even in
give
TBC,
any
I thought
stats
so.
Aside from just spirit,
Could you use it in
what's
Wrath?
really important
I don't
though is
remember that.
the equip. So if we read the tooltip, it says when shapeshifting into cat form, the druid gains 20 energy.
Yep.
When shapeshifting into bear form, the druid gains 5 rage. What's really important here is the cat form one, where it says that you gain 20 energy.
Why is it
This
fuck all
helmet is
banded?
actually the best in slot feral druid DPS helmet from Molten Core and all the way through Nax. There is no better helmet. The reason why it's so good is you pair that equip effect with the restoration talent, the first tier restoration talent called Führer. So when maxed out, Führer gives you a 100% chance to gain 40 energy every single time you shapeshift back into cat form. This enables the feral druid to do something called power shifting.
Yep.
Where you're going to be dumping
what I
out
was
your
talking
entire
about.
energy pool in cat form, shapeshifting out of cat form, and then going back into cat, gaining 60 energy every single time you do that with the helmet, allowing you to keep shredding and keep generating combo points. It's a really cool item that literally changes the way that you play the game as a feral druid. And it's also the item that helps make feral druids relatively viable if played right. It's a bit micro intensive, I'd say kind of on the tedious side, but if you really
Listen, this is actually really good for feral druids, and I'm going to explain why. Is that in vanilla WoW, everybody knows there's only 3 buttons you have
Oh.
to press, and half the time you spend AFK. The issue with that is that feral druids all have ADD. So the power shifting allows them to keep focus on the game and not actually lose focus and go AFK
What's the
and just go roll around on their floor.
what was the enchant
This
on
is why
that?
it's actually a really good item for
Oh.
feral druids. There's a
I thought there
meta
was like
level
another
that
a
this
bit,
really helps
effect to
feral
it, but I
druids
guess
on, as
not.
well as being a good item increases their DPS.
enjoy that type of play
So that's for
style,
rep paladins? No, it's actually the opposite for rep paladins. Rep paladins, the best thing about a rep paladin is you can literally just walk up to the boss and tab out and go back to watching porn, and you'll be doing about 70% of your effective DPS.
it kind of makes it a lot more fun than maybe just spamming Shadow Bolt over and over again on a Warlock. So there you go, a level 40 leatherwork helmet that you might overlook is actually the best feral druid helmet in the entire game.
Cute.
So if ever you plan on playing feral,
Very cute.
make sure that this is your #1 priority. Not to mention, it's actually a really cheap helmet. It's really easy to get, and you don't need leatherworking to actually make it for
What?
yourself.
Bolts
you could
of
literally
Sil?
just buy it off the auction house for super
Shit.
cheap. Boom, you have the best helmet in the game. Pretty easy. This helmet shouldn't be overlooked. Let's move on. Now this is something you're probably going to see around, at least to a certain extent. You might get it as a drop and you won't know what to do with it. It's called Warmonger, and it's a
Oh,
two-handed
this is for
sword
hunters.
that has
Yeah.
45 damage per second,
This is really good for
3.0
hunters.
attack speed, 3 strength, and improves your hit chance by 3%. Now you might look at it initially, 3 strength, low damage, fast attack speed, kind of useless.
Yep.
Especially for a
Oh,
melee.
that's all cool now.
But it does have its uses. It's actually quite good as an entry-level pre-raid item on hunters. So if you want to itemize your hunter around this sword in the early days, You can just get a
Does this
bunch
have
of
a mana
hit from it
cost?
and then not have
No,
to worry
it
about
doesn't.
getting hit on other items, stack attack power on those items, or stack crit on all of the other items, and just sort of itemize your character around it. There's a lot of hunters that are going to be purchasing this sword either on the auction house, or if it drops for them, they'll end up using it. It's one of the more competitive pre-raid items when it comes to hunter. It's quite unique. I think it's the only item in the game that has 3% of pretty much any stat, from what I understand. And 3%, it goes a really long way in your hit rating. It's kind of a niche item.
It goes 3% of the way. So yeah, obviously hunters. Yeah, it's not hunters, it's hunters. Hunters do, they, you know, hey, it got 3 strength, but it got 3% hit. The fact is, like, yeah, hunters, they do a lot of damage. And even, like, I remember it wasn't strength. So if I remember right, strength was 1 AP, but did that translate over to ranged AP? See, that's what I don't remember. Because, like, there was ranged and melee attack power. It was just so long ago, it's hard for me to remember a lot of this. No, it didn't. Okay, yeah. It's just so long. Raptor Strike. Strength is 2 AP? I know, I thought strength was only 2 AP for certain classes. Strength was only 2 AP for druids, paladins, and warriors. But for other classes like rogues, strength was only 1 AP. Maybe I'll be wrong about that. Yeah, I thought 1 Agi. Yeah, Agi was 1 AP. It was a long time. There's a reason for this, right? You guys remember my friend Cora? You guys remember Cora? Well, Cora used to play a feral druid, and I made fun of her and I called her stupid for gemming attack power instead of strength because attack power didn't scale with kings. And I made fun of her for that for about 10 years. 10 years. I told her that she could join my classic guild, and she promised me that this was like a few weeks ago. Then she promised me that she would not gem attack power anymore. And I told her that there wouldn't be any gems. So, problem solved.
You might not think much of it, but it is quite sought after when it comes to hunters, and I've seen many of them use it throughout Blackwing Lair.
Yep.
So if you end up getting this one, understand that it has pretty decent value and don't undersell it. Or if you're a hunter and you're struggling with what weapons to choose, or you're below the hit cap, maybe you can buy this one off the auction house. It generally sells for a pretty reasonable price.
I feel like one of the really cool things about Vanilla WoW that I liked a lot is Core ever going to be a stream again. We'll see, but I don't know. Maybe. I can never say never. Probably yes. At some point, Cora will probably be on stream again. One of the coolest things about Vanilla WoW that I really liked about it, and I enjoyed a lot, was the fact that you were able to start making progress towards your rating and like your high-end PvP progress below level 60. And it felt like the entire game had like a lot more, I guess, like transitionary meaning. So what I mean by that is that at level 50, you can still do things that influence the outcomes of things that you do whenever you're level 60. And now in current WoW, I feel like everything that you do, you only really do at max level. And this started happening in Wrath. In Burning Crusade, it was more the case. And this is just the nature of things being expansions. But one thing I didn't really enjoy as much was the fact that the entire progress of your character in in-game took place exclusively at the maxed level. I liked in Vanilla WoW where you were able to prepare and get ready for the end game before you actually got to the level to do it, because I think that it also created...
Well, to counter his point, that's mostly true, but there's a lot of people, especially him, that would spec a certain way early and then respec once they were like level 50 or 60 or whatever. Because every class obviously has an optimal talent tree that you go to level. And then they obviously have a more optimal end game talent tree. So a lot of people would follow a certain talent tree, then respec once they hit 60. Which is kind of stupid because that's, the same problem that we have today where people just metagame and do whatever, Google some guy on the forums tells them to, Nobody wants to think for themselves.
a sense of excitement and something to look forward to and something to work towards where you're like, okay, well, I'm going to do this so it can help me in the future.
And sometimes not doing the meta thing can still work, and you can still have fun with that. But there are games and occasions where if you're not doing it this way, you're just gonna die a bunch and you're not gonna have a good time. So that eliminates the purpose of even having a multiplayer, or even having talent trees, or any kind of specs, you know? It's like, why have them if I should only do this one, you know?
Something to look forward to and something to be excited about. I think it's something that the games really matter. Like, it makes it matter a lot in the games. The end game, yeah. And I wish that Blizzard could do something more like that.
And I like playing with bots in vanilla because, let's be real, there are classes that kind of suck at certain things in vanilla, but, you know, if you're doing that with bots, no one's gonna fucking judge you.
In the current game, I don't know how they could do that, but if they ever introduced an expansion with
Like, are
more
Fire Mages
expansive
good in
building
vanilla? I don't
process
know.
that you could do, or maybe
Maybe.
like an essence system that you could do from level
It's
1.
pretty good so
and
far.
then you could
Combustion's
build
pretty
and raise it
alright.
more. I think I'd like that a lot more than what they currently have. So just more things that you can do that aren't max level that still help your character in a way that is max level. I don't know. I just kind of like that a lot more.
Alright guys, that's it for this one. These are some of the items that
Attunement
come
quests?
to mind which people tend to overlook.
Good point. Yeah,
the most
attunements, good point.
glaringly obvious ones to me, again, are the aged core leather gloves. Man, the amount of dagger rogues
Still
that
looking
I've
for
seen
that damn
skip
Panther.
always
Boys. That's what they're
boggles the
called, not
mind.
dagger rogues.
From what I
Poke boys.
understand, they're pretty much the best dagger gloves that you can get in the game till
Should be
now,
right
so
around the
keep
corner
an eye out
here.
for them if you plan on playing
Yeah.
daggers. Hopefully you guys learned some new information on this one. Hopefully this gives you a better understanding.
Pretty
of
sure there's a
organization
panther
and
that
classes.
spawns
If
right
you
by
liked
the
video
town,
and want to see
or
more
the
like it, make sure
that
to
hut
like,
there.
comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, of course, to be notified every time I post a new video. I post several videos every single week. You know the drill, soldier.
Yeah, shut up. Nobody has time for your shit. Where's that other panther? Pretty sure he spawns right there. Unless he spawns further this way. I don't know. Oh, no, that's a tiger. Oh, there we go. Wonderful. Now I'm gonna go turn these in. And then I'm gonna get off because I gotta get in the shower.
That spade isn't ready yet.
Oh, I never did show off my Zergling. Well, looks like Alliance own the town right now, so I'm out of here. Bye. Don't mind me. Okay, so there's a normal Zergling speed, right? And after you upgrade them, they go that fast. I didn't even aggro that tiger, because I blinked right over. That's crazy.
Well met. Keep your feet on the ground.
What can I do for you? Go with honor, friend. Light me with you.
I might do these quests before I get off. Yeah, I'm gonna do these ones. Really wish I had a mount though. That'd be great. About 15 gold away from being able to get one. I could probably do one dungeon run and be able to afford it, but no. I'm only doing dungeons when I have the quest for them on this run. Oh, I missed the fucking arena chest spawn again. I'm gonna remember that tonight. But I need to go there at 9 p.m. I haven't done it yet. And it's not like it's gonna be contested. Wonder if there's like a loot chart for this. Oh, there is. Except this is current WoW though. That's actually not very good. Acquires level 45 plus 6 spirit, improves critical chance by 1%. I mean, I guess that's not bad. But it's definitely not very good. Like, what do I have right now? Yeah, I would probably take those over what I have right now. But I'm basically getting rid of critical chance for more critical chance. And I don't know how much critical chance 8 intellect gives me. Because I'd be giving that up for 1%. I don't know. I'll regen HP so fast as a troll, I'm not even worried about kiting this jungle stalker right now. I'm not going to use that yet, because I'm going to leave here after these 2 quests.
That's too much. That's still recharging. That's still recharging. Not yet.
Oh, of course. What is this supposed to be a portrait of? I don't understand. I probably should have polyed the elite and then killed the trash mob. Or I should have hit him with like 1 scorch after I frost nova'd, and then hit it with the pyroblast and maybe got a crit with my combustion. I don't know. Scorch crits are good, but they're not ideal, that's for sure. See, the problem is you want to use Scorch to proc your improved Scorch. But you don't want to use Scorch. Well, maybe I should like use Scorch like 3 or 4 times, then use Combustion and start using big spells. I don't know, but the cast time on my big spells takes forever. Probably better off walking around. I don't think he's still here. Hopefully.
Game files at one point or another, but were never made available to players for whatever reason. First up,
there
we've
he
got
is.
Frostmourne.
The fuck is that? It's a 4-second attack speed? Holy shit. And it has intellect. The wielder of Frostmourne will become the new Lich King. Hail to the king, baby. Okay.
Frostmourne was actually in the game files since WoW's launch, but was never shown in-game until Wrath of the Lich King's expansion in 2008.
Wow.
And I know you will show restraint when exercising your great power.
That's the best part right here.
But the official lore behind the weapon being that it was destroyed by Tyrion, it's very unlikely to ever be obtainable by players, especially since Frost Death Knights take the remains of the broken sword to make their artifact weapons. The sword in the game files is the only weapon in game with a meta socket on it. For those of you who probably don't remember, meta sockets were only ever in helms
People
and
don't
could
remember
only be
even what
socketed
meta
with
sockets
special
are.
meta gems,
That's
which
sad.
are stronger than normal gems.
Wow.
But they don't appear on any new pieces of gear anymore since Warlord of Draenor. The weapon also gives you a Lich King buff, presumably
getting the hell outta
changing
here.
your armor to that of the Lich King's.
Wait, what the
Or
fuck?
maybe it would actually turn you into the Lich King, making you hostile to everyone until you were killed by your friends.
That would be cool
Maybe
as
you'd
fuck.
even delete your character once you die, since the weapon in lore does consume your soul. That's probably why it was never made available to players. And totally not because it's
Wow.
the most iconic weapon in the game, wielded by one of the most popular villains ever.
No, that's not why.
The next weapon, called Shard of the Defiler,
Hello,
is
wow.
a legendary dagger.
Well,
It
wow.
supposedly has the ability to turn your character model into a demon, and gives
What
a
the
passive
fuck?
15% melee attack speed boost and crit chance. When it was very
do you know
first
that?
data mined in vanilla WoW, it
I'm gonna add all these items as raid drops eventually. I just haven't gotten around to it because I'm not really raiding right now.
also did some of its melee damage as shadow damage, which would have been interesting because, as far as I know,
There's so much shit left in the game files. Like, I can actually add in beta abilities. Pretty sure like every beta ability is still in the game files, and I can just re-add it as a spell that you can learn.
Didn't have
there
that.
has never been a melee weapon in game that has done magical damage. There was once a quest
guess
item
not.
dagger in the beta version of the Burning Crusade that did arcane damage instead of physical damage.
What the fuck?
And mages in beta were able to get it to insane levels of damage,
That's actually
making
really
battle
good.
mages a real and overpowered
That'd be
thing.
best in slot.
But that never made it to life, and neither did this dagger. Some
I wonder
speculation of
why.
the dagger was that it was supposed to be part of the original Hyjal raid from Vanilla WoW, not the battle for Mount Hyjal added in BC.
Oh wow.
For those of you who don't know, the zone of
Damn.
Hyjal was blocked off all the way until Cataclysm, when it was turned into a leveling zone. And there were rumors that Blizzard had plans for some kind of raid there.
This would have been so
Since,
cool if they
while
did
the
this.
zone was not accessible to players, it was fully textured. It even had the skeleton of Archimonde in the tree for a while.
What
A
the
lot
fuck?
of effort was put into the zone, but it was
Wait, the
never
guy's name is
used for
Maga?
anything. And this dagger might have been
Okay.
reward from the scrap zone, seeing as its name can be traced back
And
to
this is old
Archimonde,
Hyjal.
and it gave a demon appearance.
Wow.
Next up, we've got Thunder Fury, Blessed Blade of the Windseeker deprecated. Now, Thunder Fury, Blessed Blade of the Windseeker, is a legendary very much in the game. But this weapon, Thunder Fury, Blessed Blade of the Windseeker deprecated, has the same stats as the regular Thunder Fury, Blessed Blade of the
3
Windseeker,
agi.
just without the chance on hit
So
effect
fast.
or any model data. But what's interesting about Thunder Fury Blessed Blade of the Windseeker deprecated is that it has always required you to be level 100 to equip it. Way back, years ago, before Warlords of Draenor was even a thought in the developers' minds, and the max level was still 60. Most of the weapons in this video will either not have a weapon requirement or have one appropriate to the time the
That's a little
weapon was
bit
added
weird.
to the game. Thunder Fury, Blessed Blade of the Windseeker
What
Deprecated
the fuck?
is probably the first weapon ever put into the game files that had the level requirement of 100. The next weapon on this video is actually a fishing pole. Crafty's pole is the only legendary fishing pole in the game files. It only requires a level 1 in fishing to use and gives you 1,000 skill increase in fishing.
I
The
need
pole
that.
was most likely used to test fishing, and probably still is to some extent today. The fishing pole has a flavor text that says, "Just holding this fishing pole makes you shiver with excitement. This is possibly the most amazing thing you've ever seen."
I bet it's not.
Most items not made available to players don't have any kind of flavor text.
Oh, just random elite over here.
A lot of items in game don't have flavor text either. There's also an
Holy
option
shit,
in
I'm
the
slow.
game that you can catch by fishing in Orgrimmar called Old Crafty,
I spent a month
which
farming
this
for
pole
this.
is probably a reference to,
I hated my life
with the
afterwards.
flavor text said to be the craftiest fish in Orgrimmar. It appears he was outsmarted at last. Funny enough, there was a bug for a while that wouldn't allow players to actually loot Old Crafty when he was caught, making it a very elusive to catch fish.
Oh, he's
indeed.
very crafty.
Really
What
living
do you
up to its
expect?
flavor text. Data mined in vanilla, the original twin blades of Azeroth followed lore a lot more closely than that of the warglaives that did make it into the game and dropped from Illidan. The twin blades were a weapon that had an on-use effect, which would split the weapon into two
Oh,
separate
fuck
What the
you.
called the Warglaive of Azeroth right and left.
Damn.
Its equip effect was pretty similar to the effects of the Warglaives in game.
That's a pretty fucking
Extra
cool.
melee haste and bonus damage when fighting demons. These never added Warglaives also had the same model as the Warglaives the Demon Hunter on the box art for Vanilla WoW is using,
How
maybe
convenient.
indicating that they were going to be added sometime in Vanilla WoW, but were scrapped and replaced with two separate legendary weapons with better graphics that dropped from Illidan later on in the Burning Crusade and Black Temple.
It's probably a good
The
idea.
Fudge Hammer is a legendary weapon that appeared in early alpha builds for
Fudge
Warlords of
Hammer?
Draenor. Its flavor text reads,
What the
"Legendary weapon of Warlord Blackhand. Legendary status derived from its name, not its power." The hammer is obviously just a joke item,
Fucking
either put in
GMs.
the game to mess with data miners or for testing. But I'm not sure what kind of testing could
Imagine
be
if he
done
actually
with the
dropped a
Fudge Hammer.
legendary hammer.
It's not like it has amazing stats or anything.
WoD
and
would've
its
been a
only
lot
effect
better.
is to get +2 attack power, which is a pretty insignificant amount of attack
Most
power.
legendaries are better than that.
So I'm pretty sure it's just a joke. Blizzard likes to put some stuff in the game files sometimes just to mess with data miners. Next up, we've got the Troll Guitar.
What the
This
fuck?
weapon is a unique model guitar used by the troll in the band that plays during the Darkmoon Fair. The
Oh.
effect of the weapon is to make your character appear
He's
to play
using
the
it
guitar.
wrong.
There are two
It's the other
other
way
guitar
around.
weapons in the game which were available to players at one point
I
in
never
time,
heard of this before.
and are used by the other NPCs during the
What in the
concert of the
fuck?
Darkmoon Fair. But for some reason, the troll guitar was never made available for whatever reason.
Wow.
So now, if you want your character in game to look like he's playing a guitar, you better get lucky and grab either the Blood Elf guitar, or the Arcanite Ripper off the Black Market Auction House, or just play an undead. During the Argent Crusade daily quests, you had to equip a
that's
lance
actually
and
really
mount
weird.
one of the many racial mounts available to you,
Okay.
and then go off into amazing mounted combat that 90% of the WoW community hated.
I
But
liked
did you
it. I
know
thought it was
Blizzard had intended to include specific
Except if I
racial
lost,
lances
then it
as
was
well?
broken.
The idea was scrapped pretty early though, as Blizzard only finished 5 of them before stopping that shit and just making faction-specific lances instead. The ones they did manage to make were the Draenei, Gnome, Dwarf, Human, and Troll lances.
Blizzard gave up.
Once again confirming
Wow.
Blizzard's Alliance bias, as they were clearly working on the Alliance lances before Horde. Next up, we've got another joke weapon used for testing called Teagle's Trashbringer. This weapon was added in the Wrath of the Lich King Alpha and given to Death Knights with their
Here
talents.
we go.
Teagle was the username of WoW's raid designer at the time, and the weapon had the flavor text,
That's
"Trash
Jeff.
getting you down."
That's
In
Jeff,
addition, it
dude.
used the weapon model of the Ashbringer
Oh,
itself.
Papa Jeff.
The
That's
weapon
right. I
did
need to hurry
terrible
up and
damage
kill
though,
this.
and only vendored for 1 copper. Funny enough, its item quality was upgraded to artifact quality with Legion, which probably had something to do with the Ashbringer finally being added to the game.
Wouldn't it make sense that the trash?
I should
bringer
probably
would be
mention here
below
as
that?
well that the Ashbringer was itself a weapon that was in the game since Vanilla WoW but never added, and had all kinds of rumors and speculations on how to get it,
Yep.
that Blizzard referenced with its hidden skin requirements. I'd normally go into more detail about this item, but I've already covered it in extensive detail in another video of mine, and it's a super
That was the
well-known
best
weapon
quest
that's
line, man.
famous for never being added. And I'd like to put more obscure stuff in these kinds of videos. So now then,
Just
on to the
fucking
last
kill me,
item on
dude.
this list. Martin's
Just put me out of my
Broken Staff,
misery.
originally called Martin Thunder, was a GM item that had no weapon type, so it could be equipped by all classes. Gave 100 resistances to 4 different
Yo, this
elements,
Martin guy's beating
and had an
people's ass.
on-use effect to instantly
The
kill
chest
enemies
Good news
within
is
30 yards.
I'll be
It
able to
was
see
once one of
him,
the
and
few
my body's
artifact
right where the
quality
boss
weapons in
or the
game
elite is I need to kill.
which was a thing always in the game since launch, but never made available to players until Legion. The weapon was changed in patch 3.3 to Martin's Broken Staff. A poor quality weapon with
I
most
wonder
of the
why.
same stats, but with its effect
Jeez.
now reading, the caster commits suicide, instantly killing themselves. This change to the item was made a short time after the whole Martin Fury fiasco. Martin Fury was a shirt item with the effect to instantly kill everything within 30 yards, just
That
like Martin
shirt
Thunder.
sucks.
Only
Damn.
it had a limited amount of charges. A player was given this shirt by mistake from a GM.
Yeah,
And then
I
the
know,
guy
we
who
saw this
received
part
the shirt
yesterday.
gave it to one of his guild members, who then used it 14 times to one-shot raid bosses, giving them record kill
How do you know
times and
for-
even a few world first achievements. When Blizzard found out,
Nah,
they
big
banned
deal.
everyone who was in the guy's guild for 24 hours, and then banned the player who used the shirt
Imagine
permanently.
just being a
They
social
then
in a
changed
guild
the
and
shirt to
getting
a poor
banned.
quality item, and then changed its effect to instead kill the player instantly,
I wonder if
rather
they
than
fired that
everything
GM.
around them. This change was most likely made just in case it was given to another player by mistake, and the change was brought over to the GM item Martin Thunder, which was then renamed to
surprise.
Martin's Broken Staff. And that's it for the video. There are a lot of other items and weapons never added to the game that I might cover in a future video.
I guess, like, so what's so funny about that is that I remember going back and looking on WoW Wiki. I don't know if you guys ever went on that website before, but back on WoW Wiki, I would always look at these kinds of items and I would just think about them.
Now,
That
for
makes
this
sense.
video,
Think about
I'm
them.
going to intentionally leave out a lot of famous exploits, like the Crypt Blood incident and the Lich King platform controversy, and mainly focus on more lesser-known exploits. Number 10.
He probably
Princess
killed the mob
Uhura.
too.
Sometimes,
Son of a
when
bitch.
bosses are first put into the game, they might have a spell or two that can be spell reflected. This can either be a
Is it?
big deal,
Yeah, I like it
like
too, it's
almost
good.
one-shotting the boss, i.e. Sinestra, or a minor thing, like reflecting back a Shadow Bolt or some shit.
He's literally
But
waiting for me to
Princess
respawn
Huron
this
took this to a
motherfucker.
whole
Look at
new
him.
level. What some guilds
Acting
would
like
do
a real
was
player.
go out and farm tokens to buy the Sheen of Zanza, a flask that had a very high chance to reflect all spells that the player took at the time. Today, it's only like
What
a
the
3% chance or something.
Wow.
But with everyone in the raid using this elixir, Huron would poison herself with the debuff she put on the entire raid, and snack
And
it
now
to its
there's
max
another-
duration of 99 stacks pretty
I'm gonna have to
easily
get
and
off,
die within a few
unfortunately.
seconds.
'Cause I'm not
Completely
gonna be able to
nullifying
kill
the
this
intended
mob.
design of the fight of having everyone stack
Yep.
nature resistance.
Anyway,
And
good
you have
idea.
diamond effects. Speaking of resistances,
Wow.
number 9, Ragnaros.
So?
There was an
That's
ad
fucking
called
hilarious.
Scar Shield Spellbinder in Blackrock Spire, who could put
Oh.
out a buff that gave 75 fire resist for an hour.
I
If
remember
it
I'll be
played
back
mind
on
control,
around
they could give everyone in the raid the buff, and 75
7,
fire resist was a
7:30
huge boost in survivability. in
Eastern
Ragnarok.
time.
Yes.
Or any boss with
And they
fire
said it
damage.
was
It
clever
was
use
widely
of game
considered
Thanks for everybody that stopped by. Oh, I should probably. But this, you have to save it twice. You have the .save in the game, and then you have to go to your save manager in the command window and save again there, because that saves. It's like an emulator. It saves your state, server state. And we should always back up everything. But anyway, getting off.